you all. So without further ado, Anna, if you could go ahead and get us started. Thank you.
Hey guys, for our education, we have Vicki Close with us. She is the owner of Close Distillery, Close Waters Distilled Spirits. Is that correct?
It's actually Crosswater Distilled Spirits.
Crosswater, sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
I can never remember how it's pronounced. I did a tour of the distillery with her daughter, Lexi, who is also the brewmaster. And we have a short video of that. And then Vicki is going to tell us all about how they got started, some Q&A. So let me share my screen.
And actually, Anna, before you jump into that, maybe we'll just introduce Vicki, and maybe you could say a few words about your company and let us know a little bit about you. Please.
Sure. I'm Vicki Close. I'm the president of Crosswater Distilled Spirits. We are a grain-to-glass distillery and a farm-to-table restaurant in Lewisberry, Pennsylvania, which is right off of 83 between Harrisburg. When I say grain-to-glass, that means that we get all of our grain from Pennsylvania farms. We actually do everything from milling on site all the way to bottling. So we do the whole process from start until finish. And I think, I'm not sure what the video is that Anna has, because I unfortunately wasn't there that day, but I don't know how much detail Lexi went through. So I'll learn about it too at the same time with you guys. But in opening up the distillery, we decided that we also needed to offer food for people, so they want to stay. So I'm a foodie. I grew up outside of New York City, and I decided if I was going to open a restaurant, I was going to do it a little differently than what is in the area. We have a weekly rotating menu, so our menu changes every week. I try to source all of our food, all of our vegetables, our proteins from local farms as much as possible. And if not, then like with our seafood, it's sustainable seafood. Our food costs are a little higher than normal, but we also give back to the community an experience that's a little different. Do you want to go into the video, Anna, and then I can kind of go from there?
Yep, 1 second.
That sounds awesome. Thank you for joining us again.
You can go.
Anna, can you try and turn that up a little bit? I know the machines are hard to hear, but it is very difficult to come through the computer. Maybe on your computer volume rather than on the movie player volume. I see the 100%.
Didn't realize it was that high. Okay, let's try this.
good problem to have.
Yeah.
And then the 30s are usually a year. We'll let the products sit in there for at least a year. In the case of rum, sometimes we'll only do 6 months, but for the most part, it's a year. Over here is my blending base. This is actually where I proof spirits down, and I do everything by weight, so it's on the scale here. Right now, I actually have spiced rum in there because we are out of spiced rum in the tasting room, so I'm going to be bottling that later this week so that we have some to sell. Then, once it is proofed out, it comes over to my bottling line over here, which I'm finishing up bottling and labeling some vodka. So, everything is done pretty much by hand here. I have a 4-head bottler system and that I put the bottles on, and I calibrate that for 750 milliliters. Bottle it, then I cork it by hand, then I label by hand, and put the tamper seal and the shrinking ink on, heat gun that, and then pack it into boxes. And then from there, it goes into our finished product storage.
So it's very low scale right now, but
Yes.
I'm sure you're wanting to upscale.
We are anticipating quite a bit of growth within the next year or two based on some other projects that we're working on as well as our own stuff.
Now, I know you sell in some restaurants, like I think Evergreen you sell in. Is there any other, do you sell at any,
I believe it's the Millworks in Harrisburg. We are on their list. There's a few other restaurants in, like, I believe John Wright is one down in York that we are in. Yeah, and there's a couple, I think it's around 10 different restaurants in the York, Harrisburg.
any wine and spirits?
We are in wine and spirit stores. We are in about 11 wine and spirit stores at the moment. We are looking to expand, so if you like us in your local one, just tell the manager of that wine and spirit store and they can request us, and then we can expand into their stores. That's kind of the only way for us to expand at the moment is if customers request it. But yes, we are in wine and spirit stores in Lancaster, Philadelphia, King of Prussia, York, the New Cumberland area.
Lemoyne, I think.
Lemoyne.
I think I've seen you in Lemoyne.
We're in a few different. I think there's one up at State College. Yeah, so we're here, there, and everywhere, and slowly expanding more.
Now you have the restaurant. Do you incorporate any of the spirits in the food?
We do, particularly with desserts. We found it's been very good. So we'll put like spiced rum in like a cinnamon type roll cake or something like that, or we'll do like the bananas Foster. It'll be put down with spiced rum in it. We've used the bourbon before for like bourbon ice cream. Yeah, there's a ton of different things. We try to incorporate our spirits into our cooking just because we can. And we've also been throwing around the ideas of actually incorporating our spent grain into some baked goods type things, like cookies and breads and stuff like that. And we actually, our pickles are gin pickles with the gin botanicals. So the gin botanicals, after I use them, I save them all, we dry them out, and then they use them to season the pickles and give it a nice gin flavor.
Nice. And what's your best seller?
Kind of depends on the time of year. I mean, our bourbon sells out. We sold out in a month and a half from pulling it out of the barrel. So that sells really well, but as far as bestseller, because it's lower quantity, it's harder to compare it. The spice rum sells really, really well around the holidays and in the fall and winter. The white rum sells really well going into the summer for mojitos and things like that. Yeah, it's mainly our rums, our white rum, our spice rum, and then our whiskeys are our best sellers. We have just done a new vodka that we're going to be releasing later this week. It's what I'm working on bottling. Before we were doing a corn vodka, now this vodka is a soft white wheat meat, so the flavor profile is a little bit cleaner. You don't get kind of the sweetness that we were getting from the other one. So it's a lot closer to the name brand vodkas that you can request in a restaurant. It's a little bit closer to that flavor profile. So if you didn't like a vodka before, you'll probably like it now.
Now, with the barrels, can you reuse them, or is one use only?
So for whiskey, it has to go into a new barrel. If it's going to be a whiskey, it has to go into a new barrel. That's just the legal rules of whiskey. And there's also rules on how high the proof that it can go into a barrel and all that fun stuff. But with rum, there aren't really do, if we wanted to age a whiskey in a rum barrel, we could do that, but it would be finished in a rum barrel. It wouldn't be aged for the entire time of the rum barrel.
And do you sell the barrels, the whiskey barrels
Yes,
afterwards
so
for
we do
different
sell
things?
our used barrels. They're, depending on the size, right now I only have 30s available, but they are $150 each, and we sell them to we've sold a couple bourbon barrels to breweries in the area so they can make beer with it. And we're open to selling to wineries, breweries, wherever. And then also just anybody who wants it, if they want to turn it into furniture, or if they want to use it for home brewing, or whatever they want to do, we have them available for that as well.
Nice. I don't know if I have any other questions. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions for your mom.
Okay, that is it.
That was excellent. I mean, just to hear, I think sustainability is such a huge issue now. So to hear, how all the products are used and even reusing the barrels, and it seems like there's a lot of community brought together here. Vicki, anything else you can share with us to give us some more insight about your company and operation?
Gosh, I don't know. Do we want to open up to maybe some questions? I was hoping Lexi would be here if you had technical questions, because I'm not great with the technical part of distilling. But if you have any questions whatsoever, I would be happy to try and answer them for you.
Sure thing. And feel free to please just unmute yourself and ask your questions, or you could put them in the chat as well if you'd like me to ask on your behalf.
One thing I had asked after filming, which I should have done during filming, was about whether you use the heads for what you use the heads for as far as cleaning wise. Because I had talked about how like a lot of distilleries had used it for hand sanitizer, and apparently all that got recalled.
Yeah, so we weren't allowed to use the heads for hand sanitizer. We were supposed to use 190 proof hearts. So that's what we did when we switched over and made the hand sanitizer. We used the hearts for it. We just didn't proof them down to 80 proof. They stayed at 190. And then what we use our heads for is to clean any kind of stainless surface, to clean out the actual stills themselves. We also use them. I made like little, out of our bottles, we made little candelabras, I guess you would say, for the tables for outdoor seating, and we use them as fuel for the candles outside. We clean, I do flush it down the drains in the kitchen to kind of clear out any food debris that might be in there. So it's kind of used for a lot of different purposes. We also use the high proof hearts, some of the high proof hearts, to make our own bitters. So everything that we use behind our bar is made by us. Other than the beer and wine, then it's Pennsylvania products. But all the bitters, the vermouth, we make a limoncello, we make triple sec, and then we also do infusions of our base spirits to get different flavors of vodkas and rums and gins. We do all those naturally. We don't use any artificial flavors or colors. So at the end of the day, if we have orange slices left, they go into a jar and we pour some vodka on it, and we have orange vodka in 3 days. We do the same thing with all the citruses, and then with coffee beans, with pineapple, with jalapeno. I'm getting ready to try to do a mango habanero rum soon. We'll see how that works out. But that's kind of what we do and how we use some of our products.
Mango habanero, love it.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I haven't tried mango yet, so I'm not quite sure how it's going to infuse. I know the habanero will do fine, but I got to figure out the mango. The only flavor that I'm having issues with is coconut. So if anybody can figure out how to infuse coconut into a rum without doing it with artificial flavor, I would love some insights. I've tried using shredded meat. I've tried using chunk meat. I've tried using the milk. I've tried toasting it. And it doesn't pull out enough of the flavor to make it a real strong coconut rum.
And you also have you make sanitizer or something, and you have another business you were saying?
Yeah, so we made the hand sanitizer out of the alcohol when the beginning of the pandemic started. We're not really doing that anymore, but my husband did open start another company called Zero Hazard, and it is a non-chemical based disinfectant. We just got our EPA licensing, and we use that to sanitize our restaurant, our kitchen, our surfaces. It's made of hypochlorous acid, which is a salt-based product. So there's no bleach, any type of harsh chemicals in the actual disinfectant. We use it in our kitchen as a fogging agent. So my husband built an integrated system in our kitchen, and at the end of the day, we flip a button and mist comes out of the ceiling, disinfects all hard surfaces. We shut it off, we walk out, and we're done for the day, and our area is 100% disinfected. In our tasting room, we use a fogging machine to clean the area before and after service, and then we use it in spray bottles to clean the tables and chairs after customers leave.
So that's the question I had is, what kind of impact did COVID have on your business, and what do you see moving forward?
So it was interesting. When COVID, I remember the day they made the announcement, and I sat in my tasting room in tears thinking I was going to close my doors and file for bankruptcy. And then a day later, maybe it was even the same day, they announced that the liquor stores would be closed, and I cheered. So we did great in the beginning of COVID because all the liquor stores were closed. So we had people coming right and left to buy product. We actually started producing 24/7. We had 3 runs going a day. We were constantly running out of product. And then the liquor stores opened back up, and things started to slow down. We were doing some food to go, only in the evenings on Fridays, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I think we were doing just dinner from 4 to 8. And then when we opened back up for outdoor seating, things picked up a little bit. And then when we moved inside at 50%, things were great. And when it dropped to 25, we had to close our doors. So we were closed from mid-July till the end of September. We had to really rethink how we were going to present our menu and how we were going to be to-go friendly. We had a full service menu before. So what we decided when we reopened in September was to do gourmet sandwiches, and that worked really well. And then we just reincorporated a full scale menu about a month and a half ago. So we're back to doing everything from appetizers to desserts. But it had a huge impact on us. We're still, we're floating with our head barely above water, trying to make ends meet right now and get back into a positive cash flow. It's been tough.
I would imagine, certainly. Well, it's good to, at least you have that push in the beginning. Yes, not having any alcohol to be able to be purchased seems to be a big deal to most people. So good.
Yeah. I always said if we didn't have alcoholics before, we definitely are going to have them after COVID.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions? I mean, Anna asked some really great questions. I know it was a little hard to hear, but once you got focused in there, I know I could hear the presentation well. Does anybody else have any other questions? Maybe what are your hours of operation so we can make
So we're located at 506 Industrial Drive in Lewisberry. If anybody's familiar with the area, we're in the same industrial park as FedEx and Amazon, right off of exit 35. And we're open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sundays from 11 to 3 for brunch. We're closed Monday and Tuesday. Monday is my food delivery day. Tuesday's our prep day.
And you meant, I saw the tasting room, heard the tasting room. How would you set up and coordinate a tasting? Is that something?
So if somebody would like to come in and do a full tasting with a tour, they just need to contact us and make a reservation to do that. We're only doing them by reservation right now. We're not doing walk-ins. And then Lexi will set up a time for them to come in. A full tasting and tour is $10 to try all the spirits and have the tour of the distillery. For $20, you get a cocktail and you get a souvenir glass to take home with you, along with the full tour and tasting. If somebody just wants to come in and have a bite to eat, it's come on in, walk in, enjoy some food and beverage with us. We're open for both lunch and dinner. We do request reservations for larger parties. Anything over 4 people means that we have to move tables around. We're not a large facility. Our tasting room is rather small. So if you have a larger party, we do request a reservation so we can get tables moved around for you. We also host parties. I just did a wedding a couple weeks ago. I had a wedding reception. I have a bridal shower next weekend. So we do those types of events. Also, a lot of people think it's cool to have an event in the distillery.
Well, I'm not seeing any other questions float in here. Again, I know Anna asked a ton of them to inform us throughout. I'd like to include your contact information, if I could, in our newsletter. That way, if any follow-up questions, I know as soon as you go, we'll think of, those questions.
That's fine.
Excellent.
Please do.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Vicki. I appreciate it. I know you said you have some kids to get fed, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, today I got to go feed the family, but it was a pleasure meeting everybody. And like Chef Patty said, if you have any questions or need any further information, just shoot me an email, text me. The number that she'll provide is probably going to be my cell phone, so you can get in touch with me right away.
Oh, here's a question.
Sure.
Terry asked, how much can you order on a delivery?
Of alcohol?
Alcohol or food, let's just go with that.
You can order as much as your little heart desires. Right now, we don't have a delivery service. We've been approached by many different delivery services, and unfortunately, the fees that they charge have prevented us from really moving forward with any of them. If somebody wants to do a special order, though, I am happy to deliver, especially if it's like cases of alcohol or like I sell directly to bars and restaurants. So if it's a wholesale account, hit me up. I'll give you a much better pricing wholesale than having to buy it through the state store system. And you have access to more products than what I sell in the state store system. So we have a full lineup of products that we don't sell in the fine wine and good spirits stores that you can get directly through me.
You have a website that has all the whole list, or is it like a secret website?
Yeah, our website is crossedwater.com. Very simple. You can see what products we have right now that you would be able to order. And then we also do cocktails to go. So that's always a plus.
Thank you.
And I know our agenda had the link in it. I put it in the chat, and I'll make sure our newsletter has the link to it as well.
Okay. Thanks, Chef Patty. It was a pleasure meeting everyone. Have a great
Thank you so much.
Maybe I'll see you at a different meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Take care. Good evening.
Bye.
All right. Now, I know we had a few guests join us as we were going through the presentation, and I read an email that came from Chef Long. I know I've asked you as well. Let's invite some other people to our meeting. So let's take a moment here. Tim, I believe you're my Brady Bunch screen. There you are. Tim, you have a guest joining us tonight, correct?
Yes, I do. Chef Keith Taylor is coming into the Harrisburg area. Him and his company are going to begin to take over the food service from HMAC downtown Harrisburg. So I'll turn it over a quick second for Chef to kind of give a little background, but he wants to make some connections, come in and meet the chefs here, coordinators of the schools, looking, as everybody is looking for help. So he's new to Harrisburg, so I thought, what a perfect time, invite him into our meeting, so you kind of get the lay of the land and meet everybody, that's been entrenched in Harrisburg for many years and has a lot of great things to offer.
Yeah, and certainly welcome, Chef.
Yeah, actually, I'm from the Philadelphia chapter, Delaware Valley Chefs Association, and actually, Joe Coy gave me Tim's contact and gave me a couple of names I see on the screen. So that was really helpful, and I'm just really happy to be here. I'm in town for today and tomorrow and last night, just really just trying to get a feel for what I'm doing in this new building and getting some things ready for my core staff or task force to come up. I'm doing a new joint operating agreement with the HMAC Center, the Harristown Midtown Arts Center. And John's a great guy. I've been talking for a while, and my PR rep, Peter Breslow, said, go start making friends. So, you know, Philly's kind of far, but I'm kind of ACF geeked for years. So, and some of the names that I see here, like I said, are familiar names. I had a really great conversation with Tim that kind of helped me understand some names or people I just talked to, like Tom Long and Chef Patty and Cher Harris. I think that's one of you that's here. And just find out what's up with schools and people and chefs, and even more so important outside of the recruiting piece is really just getting to know some of the culinary professionals in the area and part of the local association. I'm definitely going to attend your next meeting, and I probably have trips planned here every 2 weeks. The new location will be launching kind of like on the short side, duplicating some of my other joint agreements that I have with the zoo and with a couple other accounts that I run 5 Saints Distilling, and obviously soulofcooking.com, where we're teaching. And if you want to know more about me, you go to chefsoulculinary.com. That's just like the name says, chefsoulculinary.com. That's just where we do a bunch of consulting, and the Soul of Cooking is where we do some crazy interactive teaching. And I'll just be back in touch with you guys, and really looking forward to actually meeting you. I mean, it's kind of cool that we're actually going to have ACF meetings where we can actually see each other and say hello, because we're all zoomed out by now. I know I am. So thank you. I appreciate Chef Tim coming out to see me, and I'll be listening here in the background and hopefully becoming a part of your association or 2 associations, because I'm all about networking, and Philly and Harrisburg are brothers and sisters. So let's keep it together.
Well, certainly welcome, Chef. We're hoping to, you know, introduce ourselves, and hopefully you can learn a little bit here about our chapter. We definitely have a lot going on in this meeting. Our next meeting, I'm so excited, is going to be in person. So if you are in town, yes. Otherwise, we'll be back on Zoom probably for July. But certainly, the more the merrier, and we really try to pack a bunch into our chapter and really let anyone know what we're all about. So thank you for joining us. Certainly.
Thank you.
Do we have any other guests? Joe Garrett, welcome. I don't believe we've met before. Thank you for joining us.
No, this is my first meeting I was able to attend. Rejoined the chapter July of last year and decided to pop into the Zoom and actually attend the meeting and not watch it on YouTube.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully it's more exciting in person when you get to engage with us rather than just watching afterwards.
Absolutely, because I was part of the chapter many years ago, but kind of fell out, and now I'm back in the business and decided I wanted to get in with a organization again that I'm very, very passionate about.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Do we have any other guests that I'm missing? I have to switch to 2 screens. Okay. Well, thank you all and welcome. Do we have LaWanda McCoy on with us? I do not believe that I have seen her. I sent an email out right after our last meeting.
I don't see her.
Okay, I don't either. I did follow up with her after I sent the email to the chapter. This is in regards to the You and Me, am I saying it right? You and Me Arts camp that was opening up in Harrisburg. And I sent that email with here's everything about her initiative and things that she was looking for. I know we had a few members that were reaching out, interested in helping. I was hoping to have her join us tonight to update us and let us know, you know, what her current needs are. So I'm going to hold off and see if she does join us throughout the meeting, that maybe we can bring her back here towards the end. Then it'd be great to hear from her. Charlie?
I had talked with her right after the meeting, and she had promised to get back to us. I literally have $20,000 to throw at her. Doogie from Hershey's going to throw some equipment at her. But I haven't heard back from her, and I've reached out to her 4 or 5 times. So
Me too. Okay. You know, it was very quick. Yes, I'll be there. And then I thought in the last week. So I'm hoping But I still think, you know, I can reach out and do another follow-up. We have members anxious to help, and that's great to hear. And maybe try one more time to get in touch. David, I know you were in touch with her at some point. Maybe you could help
Yes.
us back with her, please. Thank you. That would be excellent. Okay. With that, then I'm going to go ahead and jump down through our agenda. Our next item is our mise en place for April 2021. Let me ask you, what is the ingredient of the month that can be refined into a variety of commercial products, including paper, rope, textiles, clothing, biodegradable plastics, paint, soap, insulation, biofuel, animal feed, and used in food ingredients such as a Greek yogurt parfait paired with cranberries and a granola?
Yeah, July 31st.
Happy weed.
Checking out 27th.
Happy weed. That's what it is, huh? Googie. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Happy Weed. That's what I was told.
I was pretty sure we're talking about.
Because I want the book. I want the book.
At first.
So there was no competition to win something other than who read the newsletter, maybe. But we do have a competition that we'll announce with Michael's educational series coming up. So, but
I was waiting for you to ask who the student was, and I already knew it was Terry.
You're just trying to show off now, Michael, and jumping in
I
and
read
stealing my
the
thunder and my
newsletter.
question. Okay.
All right,
So
goodbye.
now that you've read Terry was a student spotlight, you'll notice at the end that he's worked a variety of places. Do you know where he just started officially on Saturday? Where he's currently working right now? Michael, where'd you go? Anyone?
I don't know that answer.
Okay. So Terry, along with 16 other students, started at the Hotel Hershey on Saturday in a new partnership that HAC has joined to deliver a restaurant operations experience and bakery operations experience. So Terry has been with us for years, is a big part of our program at HAC, has been a big part of our chapter, and just turned a leaf and started a new position, just starting at the Hotel Hershey on Saturday. So congratulations to you, Terry, and thank you, Michael, for noting that student of the month. We are, of course, looking for other students of the month to feature, and I know there's a couple that have been big in the spotlight that it would be nice to connect with Faith here shortly if anyone has any ideas. Okay, with that, any other comments, any notes, edits on the minutes from the last meeting?
Hey, Autumn.
Yes.
With LaWanda, I talked to a couple of our bosses, and they really would like to reach out a little bit more and be a little bit more supportive, even with HERCO management people too. So there's definitely a strong interest on our end with HERCO support. So if we can get a hold of her, I too have tried to contact her several times and haven't had a reply back yet.
Thank you. I feel very confident that David will reach out to her and connect her with us.
Okay.
Just from
I'm working on it.
David. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for us to support, and I kind of got a green light to go ahead and get as much information as I can to see what we can do to get this up and going.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, David. Okay, back to the April 2021 mise en place. Any notes, edits, or just entertaining the motion to approve?
Approved.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Doogie. All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written with no changes, please vote by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, like
Aye.
Okay, pass motion for the minutes to go in as written. Okay, we'll move on with the treasurer's report then. Chair.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
For our checking account right now, we did have rebates come through of $19 in the past month. So we have $3,046.83. In our savings account, we gained 13 cents in interest this month and have $5,349.35. In addition to that, I also have the scholarship fund, which we are currently at $200. We have had 4 donations to that. That leaves us with a total of $8,596.18. With that being said, if anyone is interested in donating to our scholarship fund, I do have a Venmo. It is a Venmo that I have used, but I have it split dually that I can put it directly into our savings account. And you can find me in Venmo under Pastry Queen 14. Those of you that are not aware, Venmo is a money transfer service. It's very easy to use if you just set up the app. If you're not comfortable with doing that, certainly reach out to me and I can tell you how to send a check to me. Okay. Other than that, in the past 30 days, I also filed our taxes for this year. So that has been completed and filed. That is the end of the treasurer's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report, please.
So move. Bob Coral.
Thank you, Doogie. I see Chef Coral there for the second. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report as stated by Chef Harris, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion passes. One other note with that scholarship fund, I would like to start a new committee, discuss this, but I think we need to officially get it started and start putting parameters around this scholarship. Michael brought up the last time, why is there only $200? How are we going to make this sustainable? I think the question of how do you apply? How are you going to, how are we going to issue this out? So I'd like to form a committee to start brainstorming this idea of when we're going to give out money, what the criteria is to be eligible, how you apply, and how we keep it sustainable. And I'd like that Chef Harris share, if you would be willing to join that as the treasurer. I know Renee Nasta and Rashida Carter, it was your concept. I think you certainly should be on there as well, representing the more of the student aspect. And then Chef John Reese as our chair of our finance committee, I thought would be a good fourth on there if you're all willing. And then I think we need one more, possibly with some background in putting together scholarships and working with criteria and application processes.
I say that Charlie Gap or Michael Lorenz, one of the two, or both of them. Are you in for it, Michael and Charlie?
Looks like Charlie's a yes. Awesome. Okay,
sure. I'm in, Johnny.
Thanks, man.
Thank you both. I think to start devising a plan as to how we're going to maintain this and how we're going to, just to get that started. Be excellent. Thank you both. Okay. All right. So moving on then, I'm going to go into my president's message, which I have several announcements to include, all of which have been communicated and will be recapped here down the road. I'm going to start off with, I attended the annual ACF meeting here on the 12th and heard the results of the annual election. I did immediately afterwards send an email to you all. I felt I took great strides in making sure that you knew the voting was open and timeline, hey, it's going to shut down. Unfortunately for this election, 21.2% of our membership voted. So 9,334 people were eligible to vote and only 1,981 did, which is disappointing. However, I'm going to assume all of Harrisburg definitely voted. We communicated, right? Yeah. So of that, that's the rest of the population. I get it. But I do feel like we made a lot of efforts, and I think everyone was very much in front of you who was running. So the results, in case you did not read my email, I know that's unbelievable. But anyway, president, and I'm going to be out there to say the first woman ACF national president is Chef Kimberly Brock Brown.
And the first pastry chef.
Yes, pastry chef. She was an apprentice. I mean, there were so many firsts coming, very student oriented. I think, and from listening to her, she talks the talk. There is so much change. I'm anxious to see if she walks the walk. And I think we've all been there with any election, but she is certainly all about engaging everyone. And I think that was a huge platform, was the diversity and how no matter what level you're at, and whether you're a pastry chef or an apprentice or chef or you own a food truck or you're working in a prison, she was all about including everyone. So not that I'm going to give this intro to everyone, so forgive me, but it was just, it's a momentous occasion that I felt was not very much shared. And I think, in any other election, that would be something that was shared. So I did want to just kind of make a note of that. So she won with 53.6% of the votes. Mark had 46.4%. So with having the majority, she is our next president for the next 2 years. VP pretty much went as expected with those that were unopposed. They got 100% of the votes. At least that's something. But then the Southern region, there was Frick and Jay-Z. Chef Frick ended up winning with 51.7% of the vote, technically the majority. So the VP slots were designated secretary. Chef Jeff Bacon won the secretary position with 66.8% of the vote. So certainly the majority there. And then that leads me to treasurer, which I'm so excited that David's joining us tonight too. There's a runoff election, so not a majority in the treasurer spot. There was 4 treasurer candidates. So with that, the 2 with the largest majority, which is David Ivy Soto, as well as Kyle Richardson, they are going to be doing a runoff election. I put in my minutes and will include it down the road too. Look for that ballot to be emailed on Wednesday, the 19th, and it'll go through June 2nd with the announcement being on the 4th. Now, I'm going to jump to it because I'm sure David's like on the edge of his seat to say this for me. I just saw on Facebook. I'm prepared, David. Don't worry. On Facebook, I just saw a town hall meeting, typically for the 2 treasurers in this runoff. It'll start at 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, Tuesday, May 18th. I have shared it on Facebook. I have shared it on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get the word out because if anything I've learned this week, that we have a lot going on in our chapter. And I feel like maybe we don't all know what's all going on in our chapter. So I try to really make sure that we were good with that, and I shared that everywhere I could. Was there anything else that you wanted to add, David, with that town hall? The election?
The key is turnout, turnout, turnout. Okay. By the way, if you didn't vote last time, during the general election, you can vote in the runoff. So please, get out the word that turnout matters. It's going to be, that's what it's going to come down to. It's all about turnout. So please, I ask you to vote, but I also ask you to remind others to do that. It's the same thing. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chef. So one more time, the ballots will be coming out on Wednesday, close on June 2nd. I'm sure Hawaiian Standard Time. And the announcement will come then Friday, June 4th at 4 p.m. in a short annual meeting conference. Okay, awesome. So that was our, and congratulations to all, and thank you, I should say more so, because this is again a volunteer position and quite a bountiful one. So I'm anxious to see as this new organization moves forward here. All right, the other things on my agenda I have included, I attended the Northeast Regional Conference call for the 10 minutes that we were given informative items as far as the National Convention is happening August 2nd through the 5th. The Board of Governors meeting is August 1st. The American Academy of Chefs dinner and fellows meeting will both be held on August 1st as well. All of this is at the Orlando World Center Marriott in Orlando, Florida. Otherwise, we discussed the election, and I feel that pretty much for the most part sums up the Northeast Regional Conference call. I did, like I said, mention there was many of our chapters spotlighted this month. So Tuesday night, we had that webinar that we joined and collaborated together with the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association. I thank Charlie Geit for being there. I thank Rashida for being there. And the other 7 people, I'm sorry, Albert was there. And then the other 6 people, six people that joined in there. I had a blast. I realized I talked the whole time. Thank you, Anna, for entertaining me with that. And, I thought it was an excellent presentation. But what else do we have to do? I'm not quite sure what we need to do to get that word out. So, I mean, Rashida will reflect on it more as a viewer here down the road, but that was just on Wednesday night. On Thursday morning, thank you, Michael, for letting us know on Smart Talk. We had Colin Woodburn, one of the apprentices, with Chef Nicholas Arnold and Chef Bob Coral. I just came out, I think it was maybe on Saturday morning, I was able to actually listen to it. So 40 minutes into it, it's a good 20-minute conversation. Michael even got his question in there. I know that shocks you all that Michael sent an email in the middle of the conversation, but he got it in there, and more so commented and brought up more about, the validity and what students can get out of it. I really thought it was a great thing. So thank you, Michael. And what I wanted to do, not to, make it any larger, but I want to use Michael as a good example to where he saw something and he just sent an email out. Please feel free, send an email out. all you do is reply all, and it'll hit every one of us. So something like that coming up. So when I heard Chef Long was going to be just yesterday, live from the Chef's Apprentice, I know I should have known better than that, but I saw it on Facebook and I didn't see it on LinkedIn. So I started spreading it, and that's why this morning I used that opportunity as, hey, we're meeting later on, but check out what's going to happen in just a few hours. And from that, Chef, all of Lebanon County Career and Technology Center students were watching you, both Bob's class and Brian's class. Charlie was on, Albert was on. I mean, so many of our members were on, and I think you had, you know, a little bit higher of an attendance today, and it just, the comments going back and forth, I know you can't see that, and that's why I wanted to let you know.
You can't. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's great to hear.
Yeah,
Chef, it was awesome. It was great. My kids enjoyed it. We were done cleaning, so we got to sit there and watch it. So great job.
Thank you very much.
I made those tacos for dinner tonight. They were awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. They are good, I gotta tell you. So thank you very much.
And the last meeting Michael brought up, I had no idea you did this, Tom. What? And so we mentioned it. And just that mention, and then so what Renee, I'm hoping, already did, maybe is doing, is putting a link, I think she already said, to the YouTube, yes, to Chef Long's YouTube channel. That way you can see all of the past recordings, and we're all here. Let's use this time, you know, start sharing,
yes.
Send an email out. I thought, I enjoyed watching it, knowing other people, and my phone was blowing up with all these, that was so cool. Oh, check that out, check that out. It was a really good time. So, you know, I'm hoping everyone can share that more as we're doing things, because we're all doing things. It's just a matter of we won't toot our own horns. Toot, toot. You know, let us know what's going on. I think we can all benefit from each other a lot more here. So excellent in all of that. And that's really pretty much my message to you all, was really just updating on some of the things that are going on, and what things that I certainly have been seeing as well. So we'll go ahead and move on. I'm going to hand it right back to you, Chef Long, so that you can go into your VP message and really talk about, you know, the membership committee. And I know Donald Barch has joined you on that membership committee. It'd be great to have a couple more volunteers.
Yes, our next plan of attack. We obviously, I know I sent an email out a day or two ago, and I sent some, and I forwarded our chapter email onto some people also to try to get them to, you know, join in tonight. And I'm talking it up the best I can, because I think we do a great job under difficult circumstances, and I truly believe that. But Donald Barch is a HAC student who's has a great approach, and he sent me a letter of what he thought was a great idea. And so he's going to join me on the membership committee, and we're going to try to, because I think what's happening with the staffing in the hospitality right now, I think we have a great opportunity with the ACF is to help try to provide training for some of the restaurants, and be that focus, where maybe they start looking back towards us and saying, you know, we can't get good staff, we can't get good help, and maybe we can get recognized again for what we can provide for students and chefs. And so we're gonna reach out through the database we have, and start sending out some people to try to get them to come back and ask for what they need, how they can be part of the process, how we can help. So, because we know it's difficult.
We do have full access to past memberships, or past member lists. So we can go back, you know, within, and I at least have the one from the last year, but we can go back further, and those that have had memberships and didn't renew, or, you know, we have access to that data then as well.
Okay, I think it's great. So look for that in the upcoming months, and we'll start from ground up. Try to get it back.
Would anyone else care to join on to the task force here to try and increase membership? You know, see what we can do to gain back members, to gain new members. Would anyone care to join that committee?
I can help Tom if he needs any help. Yeah, I'm kind of busy, but I can find time.
Yeah.
I hear you say constantly, I am game for anything. Every Zoom, I'm ever on with you. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Put me on your agenda, John. Thank you.
I could.
Tom, are you putting?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I could help out.
That would be great.
That would be great.
And I
Tom,
think
are
a
you putting
good
together a
perspective,
list of
too.
emails of people to contact, or what's the deal?
Well, we want to try to divide it up into vendors, student members, professional members, and then maybe actually restaurants people, because I think the restaurants too are the ones that are hurting right now. And if we could target the owners, we just have to do a little bit of work to find out. And the thing is restaurant people move around and change all the time. So what you might have from the last 5 years can be very different from what it actually is. But I do think, I did 25 years in hotels and restaurants, and it was a different time, but this is a different time now. It's, there's a million executive chef jobs out there with not enough qualified people to jump on and do it. So I just think we have a chance to make an impact as the ACF, to be able to get the word out, and we could be a pivot point for it.
Are you thinking about any of the marketing materials that ACF has, or developing something locally for us just to showcase our skills?
Well, I think we have to start locally, because I think we are strong. I think our chapter presents well. We have a lot of talent in our area. We have a great resource in a tourist town in Hershey. I mean, there's a lot going on in our area. And I think it would probably benefit, for our benefit, it would best if we sell ourselves first. I just think that makes the most sense.
Because I would love to see us highlight the number of accredited schools we have, the number of accredited graduates, the number of certifications that we have in the area, and how a certified chef or cook that walks out of the door of an accredited school, whether it be secondary or post-secondary, is ready to hit the line with minimal training. That would be lovely. So if you need some help with marketing, it certainly will provide some additional input.
I will take you up on that, Chef.
I was afraid of that.
I was thinking that sounds like someone would be a great fit for joining that committee.
Right, David Ivy Soto, maybe.
So I got to tell you, Michael is a phenomenal resource. Even if he doesn't want to commit to being on the committee, you can still rope him into asking for anything, and I know he would certainly help with that. All right, Chef, anything else you have?
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. So we have our next section is going to be with Rashida. And Rashida, if I could ask you to bump up the chopped competition first on your list, please. We have 2 of the 3 chefs do need to leave by 8. So I feel if we start with that gives everyone plenty of time to have the conversation, and then we'll circle back to the panel afterwards. If you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So go ahead, and we have some new guests. Introduce the concept of the chopped challenge here, and what your ingredients were, and then we'll go ahead and start with whichever of our chefs you'd like to start with.
Okay. The chopped challenge is basically a way for us to be able to see what 3 different chefs can do with the same ingredients. They're all not going to do the same thing. They're going to do something different. We like to see what drives them to use the different ingredients. And this was just a great way to get people to be creative, since some people don't have the opportunity to be creative at a time like this. So just thought this was a neat way to kind of challenge people to think outside the box, use some ingredients they may not be familiar with, and use ingredients that may not go well together. So this month's ingredients was chicken, any part, couscous, mushrooms of any variety, and chocolate of any type that they wanted to use. And we had Susan Notter, David Ivy Soto, and goodness gracious, I feel bad.
Michael Mensch.
Michael Mensch, yes, I'm so sorry, who took on the challenge for this month. So I guess we will start with Susan Notter.
So hi, Susan Notter. So I was assigned, thank you very much, Brian, for doing this, but it was fun. So the ingredients were chocolate, couscous, chicken, and a mushroom. So of course, chocolate, I have cocoa nibs, But then I also used a new chocolate. It's called Cocoa Fruit Couverture, so it actually has no sugar in it whatsoever. And the cocoa mass is from Bolivia. Mushroom, I chose a portobello mushroom. This is a pretty big one. The one I use actually is a little bit smaller. Couscous, I decided to use one that was a little bit larger, so it was a pearled couscous. And for my chicken, chicken livers, very southern. Okay, so beyond that, I also have some secondary ingredients, of course, which we need. So here I've got a nice spring onion from the farmer's market, some cherries, to add a little bit of spice. I've got some New Mexico chilies. I have some fresh garlic, which I confit in olive oil, some panela sugar, which is a naturally processed cane sugar, and also some NH pectin to bind. Okay, so now to plating. Okay, so I'm gonna, first of all, I've got my pearl couscous, and to this, I cooked it in some chicken stock, and then I added some cocoa nibs to this. So this is the first thing. I'm gonna make a bed of this on my plate, and just spread it out a little bit. This dish, I'm thinking it could actually be for an appetizer. You know, you can also add like a salad or something to it to make an entree as well. And now I have my portobello mushroom, and this I brushed with olive oil, and the oil I infused with my garlic. So I've actually just had this under the grill, and this is going to go right here in the middle. And then with my cherries, I cooked these with the syrup from the cherries, and I thickened it with a little bit of the NH pectin, so it's going to give me a slight jam. And this is also infused with some of the New Mexico chili. Okay, so I'm going to just spoon this into my mushroom here. So you're going to get a little bit of a sweetness there with that. So I think it's always nice to have those contrasting flavors. Now, as far as my chicken livers go, so I toss these in eggs and milk, and this is a southern style chicken liver. And then in flour and garlic salt, salt and pepper. And then I crispy fried them in some grapeseed oil. When you do fry these, they pop, so be careful. And these are just gonna sit on the top here. So again, we've got that nice crispy texture. And now, as a drizzle, I made a chocolate sauce. So this is with that couverture I talked about. This is the Bolivia cocoa mass. The sweetener actually comes from the pulp around the cocoa pods. So it's actually no added sugar whatsoever. And I took 50 grams of the couverture. I had 75 grams of the cherry juice. And I actually infused that with some of the chili as well, and added a little bit of panela sugar to it to sweeten it slightly, and then also a little bit of chocolate balsamic vinegar as well. So this is going to be drizzled over the top. Yum, yum. And I'm also going to drizzle this around the edge just a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to add a couple of these little cherries on the side, just so we can get a little bit of color back in there as well. And then to top it, I pickled some of my spring onions. So I'm just going to take some of my spring onions and just add these, and these are pickled just in some vinegar, some sugar, and some pickling spices in here as well. And so we'll add just some of these on the top, and these are just, the colors are really pretty too. So it's nice just to add a little bit of color and a little bit of fun to the dish and texture as well. So that is my dish for you all to enjoy. I hope that I had fun making it, and good luck to everybody else. Thank you.
Okay, Rashida, what did you think?
I thought it was awesome. It was great. And I love that she brought in the southern part of it. I actually showed my grandmom this. She loves chicken livers, and she said, you're gonna have to make it for me. So I'm planning on making this for her next week, but I'll see how it turns out. But and then I also like that you thought about the color, and of course, you being who you are, chocolate, you used the chocolate very well in different aspects, not just, you did make your sauce, but then you brought in those cocoa nibs, and your finished plate just looked very beautiful. And I like that, the mushroom, I don't know, me thinking of this myself, I wouldn't have thought of just using that portobello mushroom as like, a star, and, I would have just probably chopped them up and put it inside the couscous, but I liked what you did with it. You did very well.
Well, thank you. I have to say as well, I did a second plating because after I didn't practice the dish. It was in my head and the flavors and how they would go together. And I like the sweet and the savory and then the tangy and chocolate without any sugar or anything. And then I was out walking and I thought, I have to redo the plate. So I redid it and put the white couscous on the portobello, so it made everything else kind of pop a little bit because initially it was just too much brown. But I did then redo it, and I was happy with the way it looked the second time.
And it looks beautiful.
Thank you. It was fun.
So this is why I'm saying you'll have to, maybe I'll send it right to Chef Kathleen and be like, here, because, get your initial thanks, Brian, And I got to say, so I already watched this. Instead, I scrolled through and watched everyone's faces, and everyone was on the edge of their seat and intrigued. That was excellent stuff. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Rashida, who are we going to next?
We're going to go with Chef Michael next.
Okay.
And you have his video, right?
I do. Okay. Chef, if you want to walk me through, I'll be your Vanna.
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay, so essentially, after I looked at the ingredients, I was like, well, chocolate, maybe I'll make some mole. And Susan, you'll be happy. We actually use Felklin here at the school. And when you look at the mole, I wrote in the recipe, unsweetened chocolate. I didn't have unsweetened. We use Maracaibo from Felklin just to add it in there, but which is great because it's great to eat. But with that being said, I kind of pulled some of the stuff that we use from the school. So if you want to kind of move on, I'll walk you through the recipes. Now, I actually have two mole recipes that I use. This is like a faster mole recipe. The other mole recipe, I thought if I put it on here, everybody would be like, wow, I'm not going to mess with that. But I worked with a guy who gave me his recipe like about 10 years ago, and it's about 4 pages of ingredients, and it takes forever to make. You can make this in like an hour, less than that. So I'll let you kind of move on from there. Okay, so that's basically the mole recipe if you wanted to follow through at some point, and if anybody wanted it, kind of keep going. Okay, so at the school, there's a lot of recipes we use that are in classes, and one of my favorite recipes that we use in the nutrition class actually is a kale and quinoa cake that we kind of make. So I just replaced the quinoa and put couscous in. I use some Moroccan couscous and stuff that's essentially, put some hot chicken stock on it, cover it with, some plastic wrap, and it cooks up really quick. But there's a lot of ingredients in it. As far as the mushrooms, we use creminis. I slice some and I chop some up and put them in, but they were all like pre-cooked before I put them in the cakes. So, and that's essentially the recipe for it if you wanted to follow that at some point. And then it's just us toasted up some different chilies, guajillo, pasillas, and so on and so forth. And then separating them, and then we kind of, steeped them in some, we use stock for everything. So, but we took the seeds out and the stems, that kind of stuff, separated everything out. And then that's sort of the mole finished. Now, here's the key. When you make mole, you want to kind of cook it and reduce it a few times, like with your stock, liquid will kind of reduce out of it after you've pureed everything in the blender. But you want it to sort of almost be like a milkshake when it's done. It's supposed to be really a lot thicker than a normal sauce. So you should be able to like brush it on something. Okay. Just the prep for the couscous, just everything kind of mixed together. My cameraman was terrible. I've really given him hell about this. And that's essentially finished plate. He took pictures. We just did nail line breast, kind of cut it in half, the couscous cake, and brushed some mole on there. You know, pretty simple dish. The real technique here is making mole with that chocolate. If you've not made mole before, or even, you know, done some braised chicken with mole and things like that, I recommend you do that. Amazing flavors. It has a ton of earthiness, a little spice to it. You can always add, if it's too spicy, you can always add honey, or instead of using unsweetened chocolate at the end, because that's when you add the chocolate in very end, you could always add some sweetened chocolate in like I did. So that's it, pretty simple.
Rashida, what do you think?
I was impressed that he did do a mole. I've tried myself, it did not come out well. But I also like the fact that he took the couscous and and the mushrooms and made a cake out of it. That didn't even cross my mind of saying, let's make something into a patty. And it turned out, and it had a lot of color, and you can tell it had a lot of flavor. And again, I showed my kids this, and tonight I did make couscous tonight, but then they were kind of upset because I didn't make the couscous cakes. So I told them, again, I will have to attempt to make his cakes for you guys to eat it for dinner one night. But I was very, you know, the color of the mole is very beautiful. And again, just to make a cake, I didn't think, let's take the couscous and make a cake out of it. But even though you don't like your pictures, you can still grasp that it was beautiful and it probably tastes well.
If you get the opportunity, replace the couscous with quinoa and make it the way it's supposed to be with the quinoa. They're amazing. The couscous came out different, but the quinoa gives it a little bit crunchy texture. So
Okay.
a little different. Delicious.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes. All right. And then we have one more, right?
One more. That would be Chef David.
All right. Now, Chef, you have a presentation here. Would you like me to just hit play?
Just hit play.
I do not feel like I did what I was supposed to. One more moment here. Nope, it is. That was awesome, Chef. Rashida.
This was so awesome. When he emailed this to me late at night, I didn't think I was going to be able to open it, but I was able to open it. And I really appreciated how he went through the thought process. He thought about what was going to taste well, what it was going to look like. I just, it was like you builded us up, and then you finally showed us the plate, and it was just so gorgeous. And, you know, and then I thought, oh, now we have 2 moles, but then you took it differently and you used black beans, and then you even added cilantro, which is my favorite, but you also brought in color, you thought about texture, you thought about flavor, and I just thought this was awesome. And I like the comments at the end when you had your family try it. And I just thought this turned out so well, and I really appreciated how you took us through that thought process, and you were using culinary terms as you were going through the process. But you did an awesome job. Awesome job.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Rashida.
Yes.
Rashida.
Yes.
Just so you know, David's wife called me after dinner and said she was ill.
I'm going to mute you soon. I'll just mute you. But in all seriousness, the 3 of you really took it to another level, which is great. And I think that's what Rashida was getting. That's what she wants. Is how did you what was your thought process? You know, and all 3 of you showed a completely different method of portraying that, which is exactly what the students are looking for. And I think all of us, you know, at first you're like, we're reading, but how many of you did not say, wow, when that picture came up? You know, yes. It really took you back. And that's where I'm saying, I'm watching everybody to see more of the reactions. And that was awesome. So, Rashida, we're not doing this in June. because if you haven't heard, we're getting together in person, but July, we're looking to bring it back, right?
Yes, in July. So that means we're looking for 3 more volunteers to participate for our July's Chop Challenge. So if you're willing to take the challenge, please let us know. We're waiting.
New guy needs to do it.
I needed to jump to the second screen. Anyone interested? And just so you know, Chef Notter. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Joe, yeah?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And Chef Notter, just so you know, Chef Peffley did join us. I think he's still here. You know, replay the start of the video for you, Chef. She made note. Thanks, Brian. It was great. Okay, so thank you, Joe. Do we have any other volunteers for July? You have 2 months to work on it. Could be a good thing or bad thing.
Is Charlie Gipe still on? Mr. Gipes.
Yes, Mr. Gipe is on.
I saw a thumbs up.
I saw a thumbs up. Would that mean
All right,
yes?
Chaz. Doesn't matter if it means yes or not. Just put him on
And
there.
did Keith Taylor say that he was going to bring some soul food to the table?
Ooh, that would be nice.
I'm in whenever you guys need me.
All right.
All right.
There you go.
You're making that commitment to joining our meetings. That's what set that one up.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know how it works, but one of the cool things about being in Philly, as much as like we're 90% old guard, I'm always about bringing meetings to my place. So I have plenty of space at my new place. So we'll definitely make that happen, just because I want you guys to come and see what we're doing. It's really just me, just kind of bringing back some stuff my grandparents made. Obviously, I worked in New Orleans Parish for a few years after I left Disney. So yeah, we'll have some fun, and we're gonna bring a little bit of that, a little bit of the Big Easy to Harrisburg. That's something I'm doing.
Thank you.
So Rashida, you will follow up an email with all 3 chefs tomorrow. So
yes.
If you don't mind, if the 3 of you don't mind just putting your email in the chat. Chef Gipe, obviously I have yours, but I want to make sure Rashida has it right now captured for you. She will decide on those ingredients.
And Chef Keith already put his email address in there.
Yes.
Yes.
I did see that. Okay, great. And so Rashida will be in touch with just an overview. And again, the expectation is to bring to us how you developed your dish. You do not have to make a video. You don't have to, we would like to see a picture. We would like to see the finished dish, but she'll overview that. I think she does a really good job in getting you set up for that. Thank you all for volunteering. That's awesome. Okay, so Rashida, I'd like to continue with you if we could. And then our guest speaker, Lawanda, did join us. So after Rashida concludes with our student updates, then we'll go back to the You and Me Do Arts. Rashida?
Okay. So it was last Wednesday. We had the opportunity to do the webinar with PRAL, and we had 4 guests on that took us through their day, different things that they were doing and how things changed during COVID for them. We had Anna Smith, who was on, Chef
Casey Callahan.
Yes, Chef Casey Callahan, so sorry. And, oh my goodness.
Anna Schultz.
Anna Schultz from Giants, who's a nutritionist, and Rob Dillon, who owns a food truck. And for me, it was a great experience because as a student wanting to open my own business, it was great to see what everyone does on a daily basis in a different form. Everyone's job is not the same. You know, just like, you know, Chef Casey iterated how her shop's only open for 3 days, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, she's still doing something. I didn't realize the full scope of the aspects when it comes to the food trucks. Not only is it just a food truck, but you need a space for your food. Another thing that was brought up that was excellent was you needed to have a spot to dump your dirty water, to dump your trash. It's not like you could just, you know, I'm here today and I'm going to leave it at this business. So it was a lot, that was shared. Something that I wish I would have known from the giant aspect with oh my goodness, I forgot her name.
Shayna Schultz.
Shayna Schultz. Yes, that's the second time I've been with her. But she is a nutritionist for giants, and they have this awesome program where people who need help with nutrition, they will take you, show you what you should eat, shouldn't eat, how to prepare it. There's also the cooking school that they do. They did go virtual with it. I just didn't realize there was so much that Giants could offer you. And, you know, that's something that I would think a lot of people should know about. Even they have the children's side of cooking with it as well. And then with Anna, you know, she took us, she doesn't do a normal line cook's job because of where she works. She works with, it's a nursing home type atmosphere that she's in.
Messiah Lifeway.
Yes, Messiah Lifeways. And it's not an average, you know, go in, do things that you would normally do, because there's different nutritional value people need. The menu change. It's not like, you know, it's a set menu that she's going to be cooking for that day, but it was just, you know, it's not. And then, you know, like with COVID, it's different because you don't still have those people coming in and saying, I need this order, I need that order. But at the same sense, you still have to cook for these residents. And I just think, you know, from a student's aspect, it was able for me to say, I know what I want to do, but this would be an opportunity to learn this. I could also learn that. And then you may even be able to bring it all together somehow. But I really appreciate it. But the downside was I wish there was more people who had joined and could have gotten something great out of it, because it was a great experience. And Chef Patty did awesome with giving out the questions, and, you know, it was just awesome. And I'm thankful for everyone who was there and participated.
And Rashida formatted the questions. We met and she really, this is what I'd want to know. These are the questions I have, you know, really represented students in our chapter and all around that, you know, what do they want to hear? Because who's usually putting these together? It's those of us that we think this is maybe what students want to hear. So that's what I thought was really great, that I was just asking your questions. I was just your voice. I thought it was excellent. And the recording is out there. And I'll make sure to include it with our newsletter as well. And again, it was sent out from Hope Sterner sent it out to every school in Pennsylvania and neighboring states. So that's where when I emphasized the number of people. However, we blocked everyone out and the 6 of us had a great time for an hour and a half. So again, it's really worthwhile if you could encourage any student to check it out. It just was very real, I think is the advice at the end. Anna came in with network. Join the ACF, network, get to know chefs in your area, which I think was awesome. Knowing who your target market is, know what your guests are looking for, and always giving back. Once you get there, give back to those. Again, it was just such a well-rounded, I really encourage anyone to tune in. I think Charlie was there as well. Thank you for joining. All right, Rashida. You have one other area here, and I know we were going to pull in Chef Guy with the Pro Start, but go ahead and then we'll move on to approaching with LaWanda here.
The mentorship?
I'm sorry. So the students graduating and hearing from others in our chapter, and Chef Guy specifically on the Pro Start competition.
Okay, gotcha. So sorry about that. Just at this time, I would like to just, congratulate anyone who's graduating this semester or who graduated earlier this semester, maybe coming up this summer. But it's great that you're a part of ACF, and I hope you continue to be a part of ACF. And I know for sure someone who is here is Renee Nasta, who is graduating this semester. Congratulations to her. And if anyone else has anyone that they would like to congratulate, please do.
I don't see anyone on, but personally, I know we had over 20 students graduate just, I believe it was Thursday night, Wednesday night, it's escaping me, but we had over 20 students graduate. It was virtual, but it was just awesome to see everyone achieve these goals. And I was saying with Nick Webb, who just 5 years ago, a picture came up on my phone of the 2 of us at his graduation. And I said, now you get to see what it's like on the other side, this amazing feeling of watching everyone reaching these goals. It certainly is something pretty awesome. So congratulations, yes, to everyone. There was other students being featured specifically, and that's where I was hoping Chef Geip could let us know a little bit about the Pro Start competition, because students in our area, I think it was a clean sweep in both management and culinary, right?
Yeah, sure was. So for those who don't know anything about Pro Start is a curriculum that is actually a 2-year program that high schools can buy into. And it's kind of like if anybody, for you old folk like myself, VICA or Skills USA is a part of something that each one of the shops can participate in and also compete in. Pro Start, they have 2 different competitions that the school can compete in. There's the culinary competition and the management competition. Let's go over a little bit about let me start with management first. In our area, 2 or 3 of the chefs and 2 or 3 of the folks from PRLA were involved with this. In fact, Chef Peffy and I kind of got Pro Start started in Central Pennsylvania because how many years did it take, Chef Peffy? 75. I mean, I've been doing it trying to get it in for 15 years. I think this is year 6, maybe, that the state has jumped on board. And the idea behind this is there are corporations throwing money at students to go to school, scholarship-wise, even if you don't win. I mean, there's so many accolades that you can jump on board with, and they will take you to the next level. Even half your scholarships to some of the schools. So it's pretty amazing. Anyhow, for the management competition. So the thing about this management thing is it's usually a team of 3, plus there could be a person acting as a coach. And these 3 folks do literally a restaurant concept. They go the whole way through, and the criteria for judging is the concept itself, a menu. Now, obviously, this was all virtual this year. So everything had to be submitted a month in advance, and then they had 10 minutes to present it on video. So it's kind of neat. I watched both culinary and management, and it's pretty amazing what they come up with. Also, they had to do marketing, how they're going to market their concept, critical thinking, and menu and recipe costing. All that had to be put into a presentation, and then they would present a 10-minute presentation to a board of judges, and then the judges would go through and determine a winner. This is normally done in Penn State. So, John Reese, you were one of the judges with me. We literally, it's so much easier to do it in person because it's a day. I had, probably at least 7 days of watching different, because they didn't send them all at the same time. So, probably 25 hours, maybe, all told, by the time, not only going through each one of the presentations, but looking at their food costing, look to make sure everything was good to go. Something that they said in their menu presentation isn't in the dish. That could be a problem. Or things that they added onto the dish that wasn't part of the menu presentation. So it was, I think it was 10 times harder to do it virtually. But we had 7 teams. The 7 teams did a really, really, really good job. And some of the criteria that they had was the menu itself. They had to do recipes, a standardized butcher test if the meats and proteins were in it, and submit that. Cooking techniques, knife skills, work skills, and organization, safety and sanitation. And then they're really big on recipe costing, down to the, so that they can come up with, they wanted a 32%, so they could come up with a recipe, a cost to go on a menu, and they literally presented a menu too. So the students would get together and do it could be 4 students and 1 coach, okay? And then the coach is a student, or a manager, they call them. So they break it down. The competition, normally they get 2 8-foot tables, 2 butane stoves. That's it. That's the space they have to work with. They're presenting a 3-course meal in an hour. So it's hectic. And some of the things, some of the menus are very challenging this year. So it was kind of nice. All right, so the winners in the management category. In third place was Central Westmoreland, CTC. Second place was Crawford County, CTC. And first place in our backyard, Milton Hershey School. And they just did an awesome job. On the culinary side, third place was Greater Johnstown, CTC. And second place, this is only, I don't know, I guess with the COVID and this school had 8 sending schools to it, but none of the students were in the shop at the same time. So how this instructor dealt with this, I have no clue. So it's Northumberland County, CTC. They only had two students on their team. They did a beef Wellington and just all kinds of really, really unique things in that time period. It was amazing. And they did it real good. They came in second place. And in first place, Milton Hershey School. Once again, they did an awesome job. Right from the get-go, they, and it's kind of neat. I stopped helping them so that I could judge. I wanted to see what everybody else was doing. And I know the time and effort they put into it. And I know the time and effort these other students put into it. It was a great competition this year, and congratulations to all the folks who competed here. So, thank you.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you so much, Chef, for giving us a good overview. And I know that's what I hear constantly from Renee and Rashida, just to pull from. Not everyone's been in the chapter. Not everyone's familiar with what ProStart is, and so we really appreciate you giving that full overview. And even if we've heard about it before, it's great to certainly hear and support Milton Hershey.
Chef Guy, I have a question. Is there any way we can watch some of those videos? Is there an access point for that?
That's a good question. I can get a hold of PRLA and find out if they're going to do that. And the reason I think they haven't done it in the past, now this is different year, and they've literally thrown out everything and started fresh this year. So it might be, but they have that the confidentiality thing, and the students signing off and that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming that's going to be their answer, but if so, I'll send it to Autumn, and Autumn we can put it on our feed. Yeah, I'll tell you what, some of the competitions are really, 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 really good, and some not so much, but some of them they didn't follow through with what they were asked to do. If they would have just read the competition, from get-go, from the start to the finish, it made it simple. And I hope Starner, she just did a wonderful job. The PRLA staff threw this thing together in about a month and a half. And the criteria of this thing, you can see that on their website. If you go in there in the ProStart and look at the criteria, it's like a 40-page thing that they had to go through and to submit. Each one of those things, there's 7 forms that they had to submit that dealt with every one of the areas. John Reese had to go get new glasses, because his wore out during his judging. So,
and the funny thing about it, they did such an amazing job. They such an amazing job. When you have to taste food and look at the presentations and see what the ingredients are, they just about what they tell me. And then graded them what the flavor profile, the textures, and I mean that was it was not as easy as I thought it was gonna be. It's a lot easier when you actually taste the food and actually looking at the video. But they did such a nice job, especially Northumberland school. I mean, with 2 kids, what an amazing job they did.
It was
for 2 students.
Tom, you're old enough to know who Cisco and Ebert are.
Yes.
The 2 movie critics. These 2
We
kids,
don't have to be over a certain age.
a senior girl and a sophomore boy.
Yeah, they were good. They were good. They were very good. Yeah.
And as those 2 are just, and literally did a self-critique of the 3 dishes. It was amazing. I mean, it was like, Sonner Schmidt and Metz going at a national competition plate. I mean, it was amazing. And, what they did do, what they liked, what they didn't like, this could have been bigger. This could have been had a little bit more color to it. It was really neat. I mean, they did amazing. So.
Well, Chef, I can say for everybody, thank you to both of you for representing us well and taking it so seriously and what you gave back to the students. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Definitely. Great. Well, thank you so much, Chef. Anyone else? Brian, you have, is it Sean that just graduated from both programs and continuing on?
Yep. Yeah, he was a junior last year in my program, and then he was in Bob's class this year. Graduated outstanding student, and he'll be getting similar accolades. I don't want to disclose because the award hasn't been announced yet, but yeah. So he's going on, and he's going to a Bible college. So yeah. So yeah, we're very proud of him. He's very productive young man.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to him. And again, all students that are completing their year, whether it be graduating or moving on to the next one, certainly congratulations. All right, so I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to loop back to Lawanda, who I know is here with us. So Lawanda, if you are able to, we were hoping to get an update. I know a few members are really looking to see how we can help where you're at now and what other needs you have. So if you don't mind taking a few minutes, please.
Hi, hello everyone. It's so nice to finally meet you guys. My apologies about being late today. We had some, I guess, integrity or structural issues with the church with some piping and some electrical. So as far as us being able to open when we wanted to open, that's going to be pushed back for a while, but we are still looking into some of our remote or other locations that we have utilized in the past to be able to execute a small summer camp for culinary with the youth and the students that we have worked with throughout Dauphin County. We were looking to host a small group of students due to COVID and costs and everything like that, because we've been around for about 3 years now, but we're still new to funding and going after those types of things. We've actually been self-sustained through our own efforts. So right now we're looking to get back with the human relations department here. I'm sorry, I'm on a Zoom call. I'm sorry, I didn't know. We are working with the human relations to see what all of the stipulations will be for Dauphin County with the youth and summer programs this summer. So we're supposed to meet on this week on Thursday, I believe. I had my calendar mixed up. I used the wrong year. I had some old calendars, and that's why my dates were so mixed up. So I apologize. But yes, but everything actually looks really good. It's just going to be a standard culinary camp where we go through basic safety. Chef Curry actually has most of that information. I more or less do like the activities, the information. I built the website. Like I'll be making those updates and things like that too, and some additional changes to the site, so that will be there. It was just due to when we had our inspection, when we had the guys come out to look at the property, that's when we found out those additional issues that, they have to be addressed before we can do anything else. And that was unfortunate. Like nobody really seen that coming. But everything was still good. It was upsetting because it's like more. But I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So I just kind of pulled back and proposed a plan to the city that would be more effective and for right now, and then move forward with the longer program when the school starts in August. And they were very interested in that to add to what's going to be available during the school year. More so than the summer, they're still trying to get everybody vaccinated and find out where everything really is. So
let me ask you, how can we help? What can we do? What do you need?
Okay, so now that we're scaling everything back, it'll probably pretty much be additional chefs for the week or two that Chef is going to host the summer camp. We're taking the 8-week camp and trimming it down extensively. I know the last day we were supposed to host a public event. So being as though we had to push everything back, I think they're talking about July for this camp, due to the other activities that's already going to be going on. and then the amount of work that needs to be done at the church. So it'll be about a week in July. We should have most of our materials, and Chef will be able to get that to me. It was the last minute change that is unfortunate, but pretty much we have most of the materials. That's like the really good thing as far as the week camp goes. But as far as the whole culinary program, that's what we need. Like I have some books and things like that here. Like these are my personal books, and I ordered additional copies and things like that for the students because I wanted them to have those materials. But I was more or less concerned about having enough mixing bowls and things like that, since we were putting in a new stove and a refrigerator and all the painting and things like that. I was looking for help with the smaller things, but what I can do is, and my apologies, because I thought the meeting was tomorrow, so I thought I would have all of this done. That was my mistake. But I can get that to you right away, and my apologies to anyone who was looking to assist with this. It's a lot that I've taken on, and then I'm also still working with a lot of organizations doing other things. So, but we're still good to go. It's just the small holdup. And I'll get that to you right away, and it won't be anything extensive. And I'll have the time frames and everything available. So if anybody does want to participate in some of the classes or working with some of the students, or to promote anything that they're going to be working on, I would love that, just until we get everything back in order with the construction now that we have to do.
So yes, I think first off, absolutely no problem. So take a breath. We're all happy that you could join us, and thank you for updating us. I'm thinking
216 State Street. I'm sorry, somebody had asked what the address was. It was 216 State Street, downtown, across from the Capitol, or right by the Capitol. I'm sorry if you can't see me this light.
So what I'm thinking, we have kind of two stages here. If you could get me a list of, and that's what I think we're looking for. I need 20 mixing bowls that are 4 quart. I need 10 that are 8 quart. You know, I need measuring cups, pans. If we could get a list, because I know a couple of our members are looking to donate equipment if you have equipment needs. An immediate, what are you looking for, and what those dates would be in July, and what kind of chefs you're looking for, a chef to help teach this subject or a chef to help in the kitchen. Maybe if we separate it into 2 parts, what is that immediate need? And then we can follow up when you have a better idea on timeline on the bigger project, and then reach back out with us of here's now our larger needs and see how we can help.
I'm sorry, this would have been better if Chef was able to be here today. He was prepared for tomorrow. So I'm sorry about that.
No problem, no problem.
I know that Charlie Geip had a little bit of an update on some information that he had wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah, well, I had shot you an email or a text, I believe, Rolanda, about that organization that would like to literally, come in and help put the kitchen in, as long as they could use it for other training too. Is that something that they would consider at the church?
Well, that would be the thing as far as us, because with our schedule and what we would have to do, I don't know how that would work out. If we're teaching classes, and that's how we raise our money, is through our catering of events. So I don't know how that would work as far as sharing the kitchen. That's what I had wanted to get back to you on. I didn't know like what their classes would look like, because on top of that, the church has their events and things like that. If they have a funeral or a wedding, that would even trump our, like some things that we would have to work around those schedules, because it's still it's still a shared space.
I know they would definitely, yours would take precedence, and obviously the church would take precedence also. So, and 9 chances out of 10, the opportunity for a startup to come in, and if they would do, that, they're the low man on the totem pole. So, if it's 2 a.m. till 4 a.m, that's what it is. So, but there's a group that is definitely willing to throw $20,000 at making this kitchen bring it up to code for sure.
Awesome. But yeah, let's talk about that. I still have to get the rest of the work that needs to be done from the church, but those are things that they're going to handle, because I'm going to help out with where I can, but the stuff that needs to be fixed is beyond what I would be responsible for. So
and then Tim Durkee from Hershey also has some things he'd like to offer. All you, Doogie.
Hi. Yes, we do definitely have some small wares and equipment things that we can assist with. But I have been asked by my boss, because you're here in Harrisburg, we are looking as a company to support you too. So I'm looking to try to meet up with Chef and maybe Chef Gype at the same time, and we can all get together. And so I get a little better idea of what the plan is for the future, what the training would be and things like that. It is definitely something that could be done. The idea in my mind is that, the students would go through the program and have some sort of certificate, and then maybe have an opportunity to get a position here at HERCO, knowing that we would know what all the training, so when they come in, they can be placed in the appropriate area.
Awesome. Yes, and I talked to the chef at the Senators for was it the Northern Company? They do the Senators food here at the Harrisburg Station, and they're also willing to hire students who are trained.
Delaware.
I'm sorry.
It's Delaware.
Delaware. Thank you, Delaware North. Thank you so much. I'm sorry with the names. I don't have my book in front of me.
Can I say Chef Luke?
Yes.
Luke Richmond.
Yep. He actually worked with us at the Giant Center many moons ago. So we're all connected.
Yes, it's a small world.
It is.
Well, this is great. So we certainly have interest, willing to participate. So I think that's our next step, Lawanda. If you're able to just immediate needs, so that we know if we can help you, and then do based on your timeline. And here's what we're looking at on the road. But it still seems like there's a openness to explore, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, it was all the work with the homelessness over the winter, and it's still kind of going on. There's like a really large symposium, and I had a very large role in that. So it's just kind of juggling between the two, because it was a passion project, being involved with that. But this is my passion also, and this is where my main project is. But since we were, kind of down for the winter, I just really got involved. So, but I'm tying things up with that, and everything looks good. And I really appreciate all you guys. I really do.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And certainly let's be in touch so that I can communicate with everyone those needs too.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and shift on. I know it's 8:23, but I'm going to be in it with the long haul for you, because we have some more exciting stuff to keep going with.
Now here, I didn't get them.
Next up, we have, make sure I get that, Renee with our new website. Now, we pushed this off last meeting, but I think, certainly we need to be able to explore. Renee, I did make you a co-host, so you could share. Certainly pull it up myself. Okay, I'm prepared. I'll just pull it up. Walk us through it. Well, I made it sound.
I was gonna say I'm on my iPad and I'm on my computer, so I have to do it so it's kind of tough. So I don't know if anybody's visited the new website. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look at it since we mentioned it. Hopefully you will be able to find the things that you're looking for. That I know it looks a lot different. It's you need to. Can you refresh that? I think you're not. That's not the current version. Go to Harrisburg.org. I mean, I have .com, but if you put, and then it should. Well, let me try to share mine.
See, there's that little U-turn type of button. The third one from the far, that one. Hit that.
I did, and it brought up the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to get rid of my controls here in order for it. Yeah. No, this is.
Oops.
This is what I see every day, Renee.
Let me see if I can do it.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we circle back to you, if that's okay. You take a few minutes if you don't want to check that out. Okay, let me give you a few minutes, because next up, I believe, is our education committee and upcoming meetings. So we do have a little bit to go through there, and then we can circle back. But it looks like you're doing something. There you go. Now, how does that look different?
Yeah, it's not coming up. The reason I wanted you to refresh is for some reason, when I do it on my desktop, it's showing, but our picture, our featured picture, our winner is not showing up. So it looked like for some reason, when you refreshed, it should have brought up a new, I don't know if you had it saved, because it should be showing you, well, let me see if I can, because I can get it on my desktop, but I can't get it to come up on.
Okay. So Renee, take a minute. Let's go on to the next one, and then we'll come back. Okay, that way you can check that out in the meantime. It'll only take a few minutes. And Anna, I'm just going to run with this if you're okay with that. We have several meetings coming up that we've developed. Our next one is in person, in case you haven't heard me say multiple times. It's going to be at Hershey Park. Thank you so much to Doogie. I know Cher has helped with that as well. Everyone that's been a part of helping to allow us to have our meeting there, I appreciate it. I will be sending out an email. I did not want it to get confused. So I will send out an email with all the regulations. Again, Doogie's really put together, here's where you park in the employee parking. You must enter Hershey Park between 11 and 12 in the morning or 4 and 4:30 so that someone is there. There are different regulations to make sure that we can all have the most enjoyable experience. It is open from 11 to 7, and we're hoping to have a meet and greet at 5 o'clock in the Trailblazer Pavilion catering area, where we will have free beverages available to us, however, no food. That was opening up a whole nother door, and I feel all of us can grab a meal and come join and have a meet and greet and all, see each other at that point. So grab yourself some drinks, some food, and we can all meet there at 5 o'clock. It does include one pass for yourself as a member, as well as one guest. We have several that possibly, perhaps like yours truly, has two little patties that really would want to be there. So we've had a couple members, thank you for that too, that have offered up some additional tickets if needed, in which case I ask that you just reach out to one of the board members here, and that way we can coordinate that. And I'd just like to make a note that Michael, again, the last time said, how are we sustaining this scholarship? I think a really great way to give back is the fact that I just got 2 free Hershey Park tickets valued at, what are they now? Like 60, 70, 80, about 100, a gazillion dollars, right? So regardless as to what it might have been paid or not, it's still the idea that, and by no means an obligation, but I think it would be a great contribution possibly to our scholarship, to just be thankful for what we have here. So completely an option, and I know Cher had said she has the Venmo set up, as well as, again, if you want to send a personal check. So I do have all the details in an email, and I just wanted to make sure we were all clear that we will not be meeting here via Zoom. You all can. I will set it up, and you can have a great time, but I will be at Hershey Park having a much better time. So I hope to see you all there. It is open all day, and at 5 o'clock, we'll have a meet and greet. It's only open till 7. So I know realistically, once we all start yapping at 5, that's probably the end of the day, but regardless, we're hoping for that 5 o'clock slot. Doogie, anything I missed massively that can't be recapped in the email there that you want to point out? I see you're unmuted, but
22 with this is that the folks, if you're using the donated tickets, you will have to enter through the main gate. You won't be able to go through gate 7, but I will be there and be able to explain that. So
yeah, and I say we leave that for the few exceptions, and then that way we don't confuse everyone. Yeah.
Right. It does get a little confusing with that part, but we have to follow protocol there for Hershey. But the good news is, if you're fully vaccinated as of this weekend, you literally, you can come into the park and not have to wear a mask. And your mask is more than optional, and you're more than welcome to wear one. A lot of people were wearing them this past weekend, just so you're all aware.
All right, thank you, Davey. Like I said, he spent a lot of time making sure that was very well set up. So I will send that email out and communicate with you. A couple other things that in July we're working on, and Anna was working on, I thought maybe a CSA or a farm tour might be something good. I know we've got a couple connections here, maybe hooking up with Tim. I already see him shaking his head. Yes, Anna, I think that would be maybe an awesome right there. Because we will be back on Zoom for July. August is going to be an in-person, and we're still working on that, but we do know the education is with Subi Cooking and Jason Clark. September, very awesome. We have the Pennsylvania Beef Council that I met with Nicole Hockenberry, and she is providing, we're going to have one of their main butchers do a cutting demonstration for us, as well as a cooking demonstration. And then to tie in some of the relationships some of our members have with local farms, such as the Bow Creek Beef Farm. And I thought that would be a nice concentration. Maybe the mystery basket needs to include beef that month.
Yeah.
In October, we have the golf outing. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to mention, we had talked at our board meeting, and I did speak with Rob Hess.
I have it down. I know what you're saying. I have it down. We'll get to that with new business, but yes. All right, so real quick, last one, October. We are set for the Hershey Country Club for the golf outing, but we are also set for the Hotel Hershey for an in-person meeting the same month. And I have taken that responsibility to communicate on both ends, but I would like us to fully dedicate to this event and make sure that's a success, but also fully dedicate to continuing our education and our meeting and having some really great food that we didn't prepare in our own homes as we're on Zoom. So knowing that, and I've talked with Heidi, Tim Cook, who's the executive chef of the Hershey Country Club, is an alumni of mine. And I've also talked with, we have Chef Reese heading up that committee. We have Chef Long on there with him, as well as Renee and Donald as well. So we've got, just so that you know, I've had that conversation. I've heard over the years how things have gone back and forth. And I think it's a really good move, and the board has all decided on that. So that will be for October. November, possibly back on Zoom. We'll have to, still plan that. In December, I'm really hoping we can approach John Gross and Company and getting back to our holiday party in person. So just a couple updates on that. Renee, are you ready? Okay. Michael, you have next.
All right, I'm going to try this. I actually have you signed on through my desktop. Oh, you're going to have to give my second sign on access to share. There we go. Select, I guess it's this one. Let's see if it comes up. Yay!
Look at those handsome devils.
Woo! So, can you guess what our winning photo is? Does anybody know who those people are? They look awfully young.
Guy, you've got hair.
I'm pretty sure that's what the text message said. Wasn't it from Chef that said I had hair then?
So that's Chef John Reese, Chef Michael Herrens, and Chef Charlie Geit. And there was, just like our team and our mission had just sort of a character or clip art section there, we decided that this was very appropriate to represent our history. I wish that we would have had a little bit better picture, but you know what, even so, I think it's an awesome picture, and it came out, considering that it's a photo of a photo, or a photo of a newspaper clipping, it actually came out really well. So I thank Chef Parents for that. I think this is an awesome picture that really does represent a lot of where our chapter has been, and the possibility for all of us younger, newer members to strive and to live up to what, we have big shoes to fill, so to speak. So, but anyway, this is the website, the new one. If you have not had a chance, please go in and take a look. I used the Harrisburg skyline. I just thought it looked really appropriate. It actually was also one that fit the section, which, whether you believe it or not, is more challenging than it seems. And it does have all of our same information that we had before, but obviously it's laid out a little bit differently. So the basic front page gives you our team, our history, our mission. It also has the culinary code listed. And then we have a section of some other photos that I think represent our chapter, or have represented our chapter very well over the years. And you can see lots of young chefs, students, or tenured chefs, and all the different types of things that we have been involved in over the years. There's also an area where people can sign up for our newsletter. And then below there is some additional way to reach into site content. You can go this way. There's a login to go to Zoom meetings. This will take you to the national ACF page. We have a scholarship page, which what I will add here, eventually once we have the information on our actual scholarship, what the qualifications are, we'll add that to this page as well. Our community service, other pictures from over the years, as well as a link to our YouTube page. So any of our meetings, any education that we've ever had, anything that I can link to that, I will. So please share those with me. Also our newsletters. If you go to the top, there is, again, an About Us page. It gives you some more information. It gives you more detailed information about things that we do and our programs and photos. Contact Us gives our email address and some additional photos. This is our calendar. This is actually connected and linked to our Google Calendar. It was going to take a little while to load everything. So if there's something that you want added to the Google Calendar, if Chef Patty puts it on, it will show up on this page. So just keep that in mind. This is going to be a great interactive link, I guess, so to speak. Let me see if I can move you because you're in my way. And then under more, we have how to become a member, chapter news, community involvement, education, gallery, and culinary programs. I'm just going to click on a few of them. This is the culinary program. So this is our, the link that talks to our, in regards to students and the secondary and programs that we, support as far as certification as well. So it gives you all of those, it gives you their contacts. For those of you that are educators, please look at these. I noticed that some of the emails were older. So if they are incorrect or if there's something that needs to be updated or phone numbers or whatever, please get that to me. I went off of what was on the old website, but then I know sometimes I went into the actual school website and things were a little different. So if there's anything on here that needs updated, please let me know and I can change it right away.
Renee, Carmelyn Perry is Bob Miller, not McGrath, and YTI is definitely outdated as well.
Okay, so I'll get those updated. Like I said, those were, I pretty much just moved over from the old page. So, but just to give you an idea, I mean, that's where we are. Chapter News is where all of our newsletters are. You can easily download them. And they should be relatively up to date. I'll have to get April added to this and become a member. This is all the information on how to become a member, and also it will connect you to the national pages as well if you click on many of the links. So that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Renee, Brian had mentioned about the apprenticeship program being added to our program.
Yes, I do need to do that. I need to get more information because I don't think we had that on our old website specifically. I'd like to update it now that it's also switched and moved to Hershey.
Okay.
So if someone could just give, maybe what I can do is reach out to them and I can talk with them over the phone and get details because I'd like to put a nice package together.
And
if we could also add Chef Heffley and Chef Harris, their two national committee assignments onto our website, that'd be awesome.
Okay, sounds good.
And I know there's another section that that we're going to talk about a little later on to look in here, but I did want to note at a Northeast Regional Conference call, I couldn't for some reason unmute myself, but Doogie got on the call and just said, I want to announce to everyone that the Harrisburg chapter has a new awesome website, which was so great. And right away, I put it in the chat and like 4 different chefs came back and we've seen it. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I'm thinking, holy crap, other people have seen our website. It's really, I mean, Renee, you just really did an awesome job. And I very much appreciate it and was so thrilled to fully hand this over to you. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, if that picture didn't scare him off, we're in good shape.
Chef. Well, my pleasure. Like I said, it's a working document or working living, not a document, but a living being thing. So, feel free, again, my email is in the newsletter. You can text or whatever. I will try to make changes as quickly as I can. It's really easy to update and make changes. I mean, it's like instant. It's so simple. So just please keep, if you don't see something you want to see, if you don't tell me, I can't add it. So please just communicate with me and I'll get it added.
Thank you, Renee. I think we should pummel forward again, keeping an eye on the time. We still have our membership minute with Chef Michael Harrence and an introduction into yields. We also have our community spotlight on the marketplace at John Gross, as well as some new business to go over as well. So again, I thank you all for hanging with me here. I know we got a little long-winded at different ends, but Michael, are you still with us that we can? Renee, I don't know how
Not
you
yet
need to
fallen
lower your-
asleep.
I heard the yawn, that's why I was making sure.
It was an early morning. You ready?
I am, thank you.
All right. Well, I'm tickled that I've been asked to do this, although I'm sure there are very many other interesting people out there. But we'll give it a shot and we'll keep it as quick as possible. Like so many of us, I started in the dish room, helping with banquets, and immediately was hooked to getting in the kitchen. I went to Johnson and Wales College to learn culinary arts. I'll pause for dramatic effect. Roebuck, nothing? Gype, nothing?
I'll pass.
That's good, because we don't have a lot of time for your shenanigans. Once I graduated from college, I moved on. I got out and walked across the street and joined Marriott. I was with Marriott for 5 years. I opened 2 properties, over 5 different hotels. And I was in Harrisburg which is now the Sheraton. Went to Pittsburgh, Minnesota, down to Cincinnati, and came back. And after I got married, my wife was transferred back to the Harrisburg Marriott, and I was fortunate enough to be picked up by Rillo's Restaurants to open their banquet facility in Mechanicsburg. And then later on, after a year or so or two, I became their corporate chef, opened another property for them in Lancaster as well. After my daughter was born, I left Rillo's, went to work as an adjunct instructor at Hack. I was there for 4 years, and that's when we started this current chapter back in 95 or 96. I don't even remember anymore.
96.
It was Gype, 96. Thank you, Joe. And
Yep.
welcome back, Joe.
Thank you, Michael.
It was me, it was Gype, Marcia Shore, and Ron Sabatini, of all people, and 15 others, because we needed a bare minimum. And John Gross was kind enough to put us over the top with our application fee. So that's when we started this chapter, and we've been going very strong ever since. We have always been a very strong chapter, and we'll continue to do so. In addition to working at Hack, I started then working for John Gross, doing food shows for them, culinary demonstrations, things like that. I've been with Gross for over 20 years, just on a regular basis for their food shows. Don't forget, mark your calendars, October 4th. But the best job I've ever had is that with the United States Navy. I was called by a military contractor to be added to a contract for the Navy. They were looking for a corporate chef and a corporate trainer. And I was lucky enough to be included in that. We won the contract, and I've been with the federal government in the United States Navy since 2002. I left the chef's job in 2014. They decided they wanted me to move on. So I took a job with a financial management system on board ship called Navy Cash. Navy Cash has been very good to me. It's allowed me to do an awful lot of things with the ACF, getting involved with the accreditation commission that Pefley introduced me to, and I'm hoping he doesn't regret it. But while as corporate chef with the Navy, I was lucky enough to work the adopt-a-ship program, and that put chefs out to sea. And I put an awful lot of people out there. My biggest year was 110 people went out to sea over the various periods of time within this chapter. Charlie Gype went out, Roebuck went out, Roby went out, Tom Long went out. I've been lucky enough to land on aircraft carriers, gotten shot off aircraft carriers, helicopters, and I've ridden underwater for 10 days on a submarine. The only person who's been underwater
I
longer
did a couple.
than me.
I did a couple more.
I was getting to you. I was
Okay.
getting to you. Just be patient, David. The only person who's done any time underwater longer than me is Tom Long, and that was just sheer accident. So to this day, I am very grateful for Tom and what he did for us, and the fact that it worked out, everything worked out really well.
Michael, you should really tell that story when Tom's wife, Kim, calls me, hey, when the hell is he getting off this ship? I'm thinking,
I don't want to tell that story because Kim yelled at me for like 20 minutes before I could even get a word in edgewise.
Oh, that was wonderful.
But I've been lucky enough that Tom and I have been friends for a very long time, so it worked out well. But the first person that ever went out to sea for me for a total of 6 weeks, I think, on the USS Vincennes was David Ivy Soto. And David went out. I couldn't believe that he agreed to go out for that long a period of time. He was my first placement, and the Navy was just tickled that we found somebody to fly out to California, get on board the ship, and do a tour for 6 or 7 weeks on board the ship. So, and I think, David, you've gone out twice total?
No, I was on 4 ships, and I did like 5 ashore galleys.
Oh, okay, terrific. Thank you. They all seem to run together. So, but I've been lucky enough to be able to work with and train thousands of sailors who in turn have been able to their crew, and that impacts the crew 2 and 3 days. There's still some residual effect there. Fortunate enough to be able to travel throughout the world, certification exams in Japan in late rain, and with I've traveled the country, station visits with the schools, and I'll be the incoming chairperson for the Accreditation Commission, and I'll take over in Michael Mensch, who was on earlier today. So that's just a little bit about me. And again, I thank Brian for getting me connected with the commission, because it's the biggest gig I've ever had to do with, and paid off very well for, I think, for not only me, but for the Federation as a whole. A couple of you sent some, run through those real quick. Is there a chef first influence you? And been in many chefs over the years that have served me good food and made me go out and do it better. My parents, taken from me an awfully long time for me to realize, is my parents were a big influence. How to butcher, how to make bread, really nice savory dishes. And then my mother is one of those people who can find it empty and still come out with 3 courses. It's been somebody in my life that has food, and she still makes better food than I do. No comments from the peanut butter. What, and that is just serving really good food. What did I struggle with as a young chef? Obviously not being in charge, but then again, placed it on the young. But the challenge was getting people to share what they know. It was still fairly, people hold on to what they knew because they didn't really want to, they didn't want you to, unless it was through hard to do. How did I get very long hours, best that the customers want, and being forthright, and an awful lot through competition. The sacrifices that I've had to make are limited. The only things I've endured over the years has been lost time with family, friends, the body, because this business just beats out of you. And I implore you, early age, to begin to take care of yourself. And what am I most proud of, other than my kids? I'm most proud of all the volunteer work I've been involved with the many organizations. Some I've actually volunteered, some have been voluntold, and we voluntold with GIE. But the work I'm most proud of is with our strength and with the Central Pennsylvania. That's just a quick hit. Hope that you enjoyed. If there are any questions, I can entertain those.
Thank you, Chef. A lot in the chat of thanks for sharing. I feel like an underachiever. You know, that sounds so great. I certainly learned a good bit. I did hear the submarine story the other day from Chef Long, so I did get that full right there. So you were taking on, though, not to sideswipe from any questions, but you were taking on something read from students wanting to learn more on, certain topics of education. Yield was one of them. So you reached out and
Yes.
what if I do an education series? And so we talked about today a brief intro of yields. In June, you have an online activity, which there will be a prize to the first person that completes that worksheet that you have, not to mention the continuing education hours. And then in July, we're going to come back with a video of you recording more of a yield demonstration at John Gross's kitchen, correct? Awesome. Okay, so we want to go into your presentation.
Yeah, so are you going to put it up?
I do have it ready to go for you, yes.
Okay. This is one of the topics that folks wanted to learn more about. I got this from Tom Long and through the surveys, and people wanted to know more about yields. So yields and purchasing and costing are things that I've always enjoyed doing. Understanding the ins and outs of how to maximize food value, which I think is important. Sustainability is still a big buzzword, but you should max out the value of everything and understand what it takes to get it to that end point. So we're going to go through this. Go ahead, Autumn. We're just going to back one. Oh, no. So, okay, there we go. We're just going to run through some quick definitions. Product yield is the amount of edible and usable product remaining after processing. Yield factor is the number to determine the as-purchased product defined as a decimal. Yield percentage is a yield factor defined as a percentage. A yield test is the process to determine the outcome based on the level of fabrication and your end use. Next. Trim in edible portion is the unusable product as a result of the processing, cleaning, peeling, or fabricating. And I want to put it out there that not all trim is considered a loss that can bring value to another product, such as the stock, or to even throwing it into a compost. But for our purposes, we're going to consider trim and edible portion at a loss. As purchased is the product that comes from a vendor as it's received in its purchased form. The edible portion is the remaining product available after processing, which is the cleaning, peeling, and fabricating. Next, please. The product yields are important for several different reasons. It tells you how much you need to purchase to ensure that you have enough on hand for production or for that party. It applies to the recipe production and the yield. So if reading the recipe properly is important, and understanding that how much you need in order to create the yield required for the recipe. And it also applies to recipe costing. Next. Yields are different based on the intended use. So for example, diced onions can be measured by weight or volume. A cup of onions is not necessarily 8 ounces, just like we know that a cup of flour is not 8 ounces, it's 4 or 4.25. A cup of onions is roughly 2 or 3 ounces. I haven't measured it in a while, but it's not as heavy as an 8-ounce cup. Onions sliced for sandwiches, the yield there would be the number of slices out of a certain size onion. Or onions sliced for onion rings, and again, the yield there would be the number of usable rings for based on the size of the onion. Next, please. When we talk about the example for broccoli, a bunch of broccoli, the way it used to be sold traditionally, 2 or 3 banded together with a rubber band with the long stems, had a 61% yield, because the majority of that in an edible product was the stem. But broccoli crowns are more the norm now, and they are far more readily available than broccoli on the stems. So if we still receive broccoli crowns, is the yield 61%? And the obvious answer there is no. But you also want to understand, why do I care if it's a bunch of broccoli or if they're crowns? And that again is the application. There's a labor factor in there. There is how it's being used in the recipe, and then the amount of trim that has to be accomplished for that. Next, please. All right, the process to determine yield factor, I'll just go through it quickly here. You always want to start with your beginning weight. You record that. That's your as purchased. And our example here is 10 pounds of potatoes. Processing it as defined by the recipe, you would record the trim. So if we were peeling those potatoes for mashed potatoes, then we would have inedible trim. If we were using all-purpose potatoes for that and they were to be peeled, then we would have a yield. But if, let's say, we were using red skin potatoes, we may not peel those. Some people like to, but they would not be peeled. So we would have 100% yield there. So it really depends on the product in itself. The next step would be to subtract the waste from the starting weight to determine your edible portion. So we had 2 pounds of unusable trim. We started with 10. That gives us a yield of 8 pounds of edible product. To determine that yield percentage, we would take the 8 pounds of edible and divide it by the 10 pounds of as purchased or beginning weight to get 0.08. This is the yield factor. Times 100 gives you the yield percentage, and 0.08 times 100 is 80%. So in this demonstration, we've given you the example of a 80% yield for peeled potatoes for mashed potatoes. And I've already answered my question previously. It doesn't matter what kind of potatoes, and the answer is obviously yes. Next, please. Now that we know a recipe requires 10 pounds of peeled potatoes to make a recipe for mashed potatoes, how many pounds of potatoes would you start with? To determine that, you would take the yield factor, or the yield percentage, and apply it to the needed the needed amount of ingredients, which is 10 pounds of peeled potatoes. So multiply that edible portion times the yield percentage, and you get 12.5 pounds of potatoes. If this recipe called for 10 pounds of potatoes peeled, what is my as purchased ingredient requirement? Anybody want to throw it out there? I'll just point it out. Because it says 10 pounds of potatoes peeled, that means I'm just starting with 10 pounds of potatoes. And after they're peeled, too late for the answer, Brian. After I peeled 10 pounds of potatoes, whatever's left is what I use. And that's so my requirement would be 10 pounds of potatoes peeled would be 10 pounds of potatoes to start with. That would be my AP. If I needed 10 pounds of peeled potatoes, then I would know I would need to apply my yield factor percentage to determine that I needed to start with 12.5 pounds. So that was a very quick introduction. In the next couple of installments, we're going to look back. I've got a meat cutting demo out there already with a sirloin. We're going to be filming some processing of fruits for one of these videos, and then processing some vegetables in the second installment of that. And then I'll also look for some reference materials that I can provide everybody to have just some entry-level stuff that will give you some fundamental look at yield percentages and yield factors based on the ingredient and its application. So quick intro. I hope that was informative. This will be posted, and you can use it to go back for references. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Autumn.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So again, an introduction as to what yields are is meant to be just very quick, and we have that to reference. In June, and look for the email of that to give you the links for the beef demonstration that you broke down sirloin, correct?
I'm sorry?
You broke down a beef sirloin for that.
I did. I broke down a beef loin and cut it into steaks, and then went through the process, starting weight, edible portion, trim, all the factors all the way through. So, and then there's a quick costing exercise, and that should be posted as well on the website.
Thank you. And I'm going to shift it over then to Anna, because speaking of John Gross, she took an inside video into their new marketplace. Thank you again, Michael. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Ready to go for us.
Yeah, Chef Michael got me in touch with Scott Wagner, who is the vice president of John Gross, and I met up with him and Chef Devin, who is previously from Brico. He is now running the deli portion of the marketplace. I am sorry, I did lose some of the video that I filmed. I lost the introduction to both of them and the description of the deli. I have film of the deli and the seafood and meat area, but I do not have the description. I do apologize for that. I will say that at the deli they have New Jersey meats there. I forget what the brand is called, but it's a well-known deli.
Newman.
Yes. And it is all fresh, never frozen seafood and beef that they have there. But I will get, so.
Well, you're pulling that up. Devin Whitmer, yes, was the executive chef at Rico when it closed, a Hack alumni. And one of my students, Colin Klemsky, as he was starting his internship, really this was starting, and he really wanted this opportunity. And I got to tell you, seeing from a student's perspective, how much he is learning, how much he is growing, and again, just the overall experience he's gotten, I thought certainly we need to make sure everyone's introduced to that. Go ahead, Anna. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think Devin said it's just him and Colin right now. Not Colin. Yeah, it's just those two running the deli. So.
Anna, is there any conversation through this, or can you kind of point out things to us as we're watching?
Yeah, there's some conversation.
So just to reiterate, this is open to the public. So this is where anyone can come in and purchase food from John Gross and Company. You don't have to have an account set up.
What do you marinate the flank steak in?
The teriyaki.
Now, why did you guys decide to start doing this?
Well, what happened was when the pandemic hit, we lost all of our customers in overnight. When we shut everything down, we found this to be a source to keep people employed and really saw a void in the market on some different, more high quality foods for people to get in their homes. And actually, the deli case, we saw right away that we needed it, and we had stuff ordered, and it came in and it didn't look good. So we had a reorder, which took us almost a year till we got everything in place. So we saw the need right away for the deli. And then just trying to fill needs where people can, kind of stop and maybe not necessarily go to the grocery store all the time. There's some different imported olives, just some different things that you can't buy in the grocery store, and then things that you can buy in the grocery store. So hopefully filling people's needs, they can just stop and get what they want on their way home or whatever. So there's a produce section.
Do you have a lot of restaurants that come in here, or is it just mainly individuals?
Actually, there's a lot of wholesalers that do come in. They basically place their orders up front and get what they need. I'm going to tell you, a lot of pizza shops, if I'm right, a lot of pizza shops run in and grab stuff, sold goods. We also take a lot of sauces that are in larger containers, and we repack them so that people, they don't have to buy a half a gallon of Boom Boom sauce or a half a gallon of Korean barbecue. We just have them smaller portions.
What's your most sold? Is it the deli or is it?
The deli's pretty new. It's catching on pretty fast. We think that will be the draw to bring people in here. Instead of people coming in once a month and buying a case of frozen burgers, what our hope is that people will stop on a weekly basis and utilize that deli. The deli meats probably are about $2 a pound less than Boar's Head in the grocery store. So
some even more.
Some even more.
Some Boar's Head you're looking at 13, 14 or eating that by half. So and same quality if not better. So that's kind of the attraction for that. Plus you can't really find Thumans anywhere in Pennsylvania. So.
Yeah. Actually, if you look at the sodium on the Thumans deli meats, most of them are lower than the Boar's Head. So.
Awesome.
And the cases are just, as you can see, we do a lot of repacking, and then some things that aren't repacked, but we offer a lot of different shrimp. On the other side of this case, we have over here, these are all repacked, so we're taking product that's in larger cases, and we break it down and then label it and repack it so that people can instead of buying a 20-pound case, they can get 2 or 3 pieces of Chilean sea bass or salmon or tuna.
I love Chilean sea bass.
What's that?
I love Chilean sea bass.
Doesn't everybody?
Those that have had it.
I mean, pretty much we've got everything that people want. I mean, it is everything people could want. I mean, we have canned goods, we have bars, wall, we have a lot of frozen goods, we do a lot of repackaging. So people can buy restaurant quality foods from smaller portions.
Can people pre-order? I see a pre-order sign up there.
Yeah, people can pre-order. Yeah, they can call in. We're working on like a curbside right now where people can go online, put their order in, swing by and pick it up.
Do they have to create an account to do that? Or can they just, do they have to create an account to do that? Or can they just?
They would pay, if it's
they would pay online?
Yeah, if it's a person, like not a restaurant, if it's a person who just wants to pick it up, they can pay online. That's how it'll be set up. So that's, like I said, that's a work in place. We would build a big cooler outside this building so that it will be managed that way.
And any person can come in if we don't have something in here that they want from the warehouse. I mean, they can pull over a full case of tenderloins that they want to buy for themselves at home. You don't have to have an account to do that. So the opportunity is over there as well, not just limited to what's in the retail store. So it kind of creates a better option for them if they're looking to do like a big barbecue and want a case of pork butts or something that they need a large amount for.
What are your hours?
Monday through Wednesday we're 9 to 5. Thursday and Friday, 7:30 to 6, and then Saturday 7:30 to 3, Sunday 9 to 3. Like we just started doing Sundays once the pandemic happened to kind of get that volume in.
Sundays is a new thing.
Yeah.
That's what we're still working on.
Have you seen business pick up since everything starts to reopen?
Yes. We do a lot more marketing than we were doing before. We utilize Facebook for a lot of our marketing. So if people want to see what's going on, they go to Facebook and go to the marketplace. They'll have all of Devin's specials that he's putting out for the week. What different oysters we have, what different fish we have every week.
Awesome. I'm gonna take some more pictures.
In Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
They're from Lebanon?
Yeah, it's a company called East Indies. They roast everything for us.
Now, how did it start with coffee?
Well, with coffee, that's how the business started. The company started 70 years ago as a Maxwell House distributor. Oh. Mr. Gross and his father started the business in a garage in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and they kind of, what I call a jobber, they kind of bought coffee and then they peddled it. They would go restaurant to restaurant to restaurant. And as the business grew, they needed a larger place, and Mr. Gross's love was always in cars. So they built this building, and it was built kind of the way it is right now, because if the business failed, he could turn this into a car lot, which was what his dream was. But the company, 70 years now, have far exceeded it, gone past everything. When you can see there's marks on the walls. When I was a kid, we would back the trucks inside of this building, and the drivers would come in, they'd load their trucks up, and then they'd leave for the day. And then our offices were in the front part of the building, and this became a cash and carry, and our warehouses went next door, where we stored our properties. So we have probably somewhere around 7,000 different products that are available, and they're available to anybody. And anybody can come in here and get anything that we stock. A lot of crab meat that's always available, which people would be amazed if they compared the price of crab meat to what's getting sold in the grocery store. We do a lot of game meat. So in here there's elk burgers, buffalo burgers, lamb burgers, boar bratwursts, Wagyu hot dogs. There's all different types of game meats, which are it's pretty unique.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen duck and bacon sausage before.
What's that?
I said, I don't think I've ever seen duck and sausage bacon before. I was looking at earlier.
Rabbit sausage. Actually, the rabbit sausage is really good. Quail is really good. It's just it's a little different. You can't really go anywhere and get lamb racks like that.
Awesome.
That was great, Anna. Thank you. I know that just myself watching, I'm like, next time for Game Eats, I'm going there and this and this and that. I didn't realize how big of a grocery store it is, you know, and I think all the products, how they spoke to quality. I mean, every single brand they had in there screamed quality. And like you said, the crab meat, and that was really awesome. Thank you so much.
My filming was horrible though, but.
The what?
My filming was horrible. I cut off their heads most of the time.
We still appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it was an off day.
So if you could stop sharing, I don't know that I can make you do that without.
Yep, I'm gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, but thank you so much. And I know we talked about it the last meeting. I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of what was right there, and again, a new initiative we can certainly help to support. So knowing again time-wise, I'm going to pummel through. We've talked about PA flavors. You know, there is an update with that, in that it is still a go for August 18th. I will be reaching out because as of now, there are 6 restaurants signed up, none of which any of us are affiliated with. Right? I could go down the list, trust me. Maybe John Reeves, but otherwise, there's an application. I've been holding off, but it seems like other events are being booked before August 18th there. So at this point, we feel it's a go. I'm certainly diving in. We have US Foods that wants to donate as much food as Cisco donates. So what a battle to be in, that now there's multiple products and thinking of demonstrations, and that's something really to build on. But for now, I do want to at least send out the application again and ask for the word that we can hopefully get some more restaurants to participate in the event. Again, it's August 18th. The golf outing I know we've talked about, and to confirm, and I will tie you all together, there is a meeting on May 20th this week at 4 o'clock. Nope, 3 o'clock for the golf outing. So I plan to be on that, and I'll make sure that the rest of you get that information as well. Other than that, are there any other committee reports or any other old business to bring to the meeting?
I do have an item for old business. I wanted to report that the support 717 that we're part of, Chef Roebuck and I did the dinner for the Goodlings on May the 7th, and because John was playing in Texas, so he didn't get to come and play with us. So it was very well received. Great time was had by all. It was a $2,000 donation to support 717. I'd like to thank John Gross. They were a great sponsor with proteins, and Chef Reese and the Hilton, and Greystone for donating the wines for the evening. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef, too, for participating. Anything else on your end for other committee business or old business? For the rest of the, if anyone, old business. Okay. And we'll move on to new business. There are a few items. I pushed it off last meeting, and I do want to bring it up. The National Convention is August 2nd through the 5th. I would need to purchase an education pass by June 1st to get a discounted rate, and that is the deadline for everyone. However, at this point, we're looking at least $2,000 to send just myself to nationals with the $775 education fee, the airfare, the hotel. I've discussed with the board. I do not feel it's a financially good move for me to go to the national convention this year with the support of the chapter being, again, a quarter of our money that we have. We've spent almost 2 years now without bringing any revenue in. The Board of Governors meeting is extremely important, and I do realize that, and I did reach out and advocate that there be a virtual option. The response was, I'll check. Then I saw an email that there wouldn't be, but I still plan on advocating for that virtual option. We had it last year. Why couldn't we have it this year? I know why. Money. Let's bring everybody in the door, and then last minute, maybe they make that call. I have a couple other backup plans, but really I think that Board of Governors meeting is really what's important for me to be at, However, I do not feel that it is worth $2,000 of an $8,000 account. Again, the board has agreed and supported me on that, but I did want to bring it up to the chapter because it is customary that the president goes to the national convention. Are there any major concerns with that taken into consideration? Because June 1st is not here yet.
It's a good fiscal move, Autumn. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will not give up. I mean, I'm still trying for that virtual option.
As they should.
Is there someone that can carry our vote for us there that's going?
I was going to ask that as well. I don't know if anyone's on here. I know some of the normal attendings already popped off that might be. So that is certainly something to reach out about the proxy. I personally would like to see a virtual option for the Board of Governors first. Secondly, I'd rather have a proxy to have representation. And if absolutely needed, I could possibly attend the Board of Governors meeting and not the National Convention. If I conveniently was visiting my younger sister in Florida, it would just be a matter of a 6-hour drive, in which case I would ask for a rental vehicle and maybe a hotel room for one night. But that's still a chunk of change to be able to say but I certainly want us to be represented. So I've looked at a couple different scenarios. Is anyone on the line planning to go to the National Convention? Okay, so I will continue to pursue it. I just wanted to make sure before the June 1st deadline came about, there wasn't a strong argument that I must go, I should go, please go, let's spend money. And it seems like everyone's, for the most part, in agreement there. I will follow on the Board of Governors. Again, I'm not letting that rest. I really want to be a part of that. And I really think they need to do more. But I think for right now, they're trying to make sure that they can sell as many reservations as possible. Okay. The next thing we had was our mentorship program initiative. And I'd like Renee to start with an intro into this. I know Rashida, Rashida's still here too, but Renee, you brought up in the board meeting, and I wanted everyone to hear from you what you felt a mentorship program could mean and what you feel we're missing.
Yeah, I guess the conversation really started about how we could get younger students involved and expanding membership. And I said, one of the things is a student coming in, especially when I first started, there's a huge, number one, huge intimidation factor. And if you don't come, if the tenured chefs don't come and introduce themselves to us, it's very unlikely that we're going to come into you, because there's this intimidation factor. I mean, you've been doing this for years, and I'm an adult and I'm still intimidated by you. I mean, I have a history. So I couldn't imagine what it would be like being an 18-year-old and being in that position. And so what I felt like what we needed was more sort of it started out as, having current members and chefs make an effort to separate students, because one of the things we did too is we all congregated together because we were all kind of huddling lambs going to slaughter, so to speak. And we never really got to sit with the chefs and get used to you and meet you and so forth. There were a few that would make their way. I mean, for me, I know Chef Roebuck and Chef Reese were two that really sought out students and really made a point. And those are people that again, non-chefs that weren't instructors. And so he started to make me feel comfortable because he approached me. And one of the things that kind of came from that conversation or evolved out of that conversation was a mentorship program where new students coming in could be paired with a tenured chef. Maybe if we have someone who's interested in pastry, who would want to be paired with Chef Cher or Chef Nodder. And maybe Chef Nodder isn't here in person, but it could be something that could be done. I mean, now that everybody's got Zoom skills, it could be done that way. It could be really done based on what works best for the chef and what works best for the student. Might be a cup of coffee, before a meeting, or it might be, or something like that. So that was sort of where I think the conversation started. And then we talked through a couple different iterations of it, but I think what we would really like to see are some chefs that would be interested in being a part of that mentor program, is creating an actual official mentorship program. And students that are interested can not apply, but can say that they're interested, whether they email someone from the board, or Anna, since you're part of education, maybe that's a good way to get, or even Rashida, since she's a student rep, to get you involved and connect with the students, and then connect them with a chef who's willing to partner with them. And not just teach them from a membership, like this is what the ACF is about, but what are your issues, your concerns about the career path? What are you struggling with? What aren't you struggling with? We all know that the career can be a very demanding career. There's 100 different ways you can go. And I think that that's something, if we want to see the ACF continue to grow, that's one way to provide value to younger members. And also by developing those relationships, just like many of you have said, you've worked with each other for 30 or 40 years. That's the only way to bring that knowledge and bring those partnerships all forward, and then continue the growth and continue the expansion of the Harrisburg chapter, in my mind. So that's kind of where, did I answer your question? I think that's what you were.
Yeah. And really, I was hoping just to give an intro into it. I think there's a couple steps, developing a list, a database of skills and this and that. We just wanted you to share that idea with everyone, and that it's something that we're working on to roll out here sooner than later. I think most of us would be happy to be a mentor, and I feel everyone should be assigned one regardless when they become a new member to our chapter. Just someone to be like, hey, did you get the note about the meeting? And just someone to connect. And I think it's awesome. So I think at this point, just that overview intro is good, and that, you guys can, you and Rashida can really kind of put your heads together as to what are your next steps. And again, don't wait for July's meeting. Feel free to send out an email. This is what we like to do. If you want to be a mentor, please let us know, and we'll add you to a Survey Monkey, and we can ask you a bunch of questions there, and you can collect all of that, however you want to set it up. But I think that's awesome. And I think it's something that we've had at times, but right now it's not here. So I think bringing it back and definitely, does anybody know of any previous resources or anything that we've used in the past? I think it should probably all be fresh, right?
We had a program with the ACF, We Are Chefs.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a national level type thing, where you kind of signed up and put your strengths and weaknesses, not your weaknesses, but your strengths and what you felt you could offer. If you go on, I'm sure it's still up there, up and running. But we could probably have something on a local level type thing that could be similar to that.
It's a good point. I believe it's a new mentorship program has rolled out with Chef's Table. There was some specific invitation with that there might be something to pull off there as well. Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right. There was.
Great. Okay. Awesome. And then Renee, real quick intro into that farm tour you're talking about.
Yeah, so we had talked about September being the PA Beef Council, and I live very close to Bow Creek Farms, and I spoke to Rob Hess. He is the owner of Bow Creek, and he said that he would be, if there's anyone interested, that he would be interested in giving us a tour of the farm. It's outside, so you could come with a mask or without a mask, whatever your preference is. But he did ask if we could do it after June, because he's like really slammed up until then. But if you're interested, I think that could be a really nice event, one to see everybody in person. Again, kind of, it doesn't necessarily have to coincide with our monthly meeting, but whatever we can work, and maybe get together one group or multiple groups, whatever works. So anyway, he is open to that, and we can work on scheduling something.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. And then Charlie, you had something for new business.
I do. Well, I think what I'm going to say here is going to coincide with 4 or 5 of the things that we've talked about tonight. We're running out of money. We need to retain members. We need to step up with our, not only, I think our new membership is important, but I think a retention of our senior members is just as important. And so here's my pitch. So I'd like to have our chapter start a new committee, it being called the Senior Professional Chefs Committee, PA181. And the reason it's titled that is because it fits into the national guidelines also. So this would become a regular committee, not a standing committee, but just a regular committee of Harrisburg chapter PA181 of the American Culinary Federation. Its functions would be take part in occupational advisory committees as members for secondary and post-secondary. We do that anyhow. Although, as some of you people, parents, you get a little older and you drop into our bucket, you know what I mean? The opportunity is to keep us as a group together so that we can continue doing these things. And that's what the rest of the things I'm going to go over. Mentor pastry and culinary students. Gee, we just talked about that. Raise money and to be dispersed by the committee. Said money will be put into the chapter banking account earmarked for this committee. Acquire funds from accounts and of members, of senior members, and businesses also. It seemed 5 years ago it was really easy to ask for a side of beef and 3 people would throw them at me. You know what I mean? We don't seem to have that anymore. So I think we need to have people who that, you know, we don't go to work every day. You know, we have to create stuff for ourselves. You know, John Reese, he creates stuff for 7 people, you know, but, you know, it's us who take the time to do things. And, you know, I try to do at least 3 different things a day. You know, to throw this in the people on this committee's bailiwick, that they would be part of this. You know, for instance, you know, probably, you know, John Gross, Feasers, Cisco, you know, they're all the big 3. You know, I can always go to them and get anything. John, same way, you know, but John had the opportunity to get different types of produce from Philly and stuff because he bought different than I did. Mine was Kegel's, period. You know, so those type things, if we need things, just open those lines of communications and actually have them sponsor Harrisburg PA181. And a lot of chapters do this. I think we missed the boat. We didn't need it before, but we need it now, obviously, by the look of our coffers. So I think that's something we need to do. So once again, that's seeking out sponsorships and having them become allied partners and bring something to the table. You know, bring, you know, that membership, not only, you know, through them being a sponsors, but have them come to our meetings, you know, be part of a Zoom meeting, be part of a meeting in person. To do charitable dinners and chef's tables to promote the chapter and raise funds. We do that all the time, you know. So I think John and I are going to have to throw together a Goodling dinner to help the chapter because it looks like we need the money. So I mean that's the kind of thing that, you know, on a moment's notice we can do, and they'd love having us. So I mean it's a win-win situation. And last but not least, the attendance of there'll be a monthly meeting for the seniors group to meet, and a different than our normal meeting, you know. And the reason for that is the money that, and as you notice, I said the money with our chapter or our committee would disperse the money, that if people that are in need of money would, you know, we come up with a form or come up with a method for them to ask the committee for that. So that would be one thing that we would take care is to take a look and see if anyone has requested funds in some way, shape, or form. And also to take a look and see if there are any events that are just hanging out there that we could do perhaps, or at least coordinate so that, you know, that people that are working don't have to, you know. I thought that would always be neat, but it always seemed to work really well. You know, even though I was working 80, 90 hours a week, I still had the opportunity to do that and not have an issue. Thank God my wife, allowed me to do that. But that's not the case any longer, and it doesn't seem like the time and effort to put into extra projects, let us help you with it. Simple as that. I mean, let the old guys put it together. We don't particularly want to do it all, but at least we can organize it and get it ready to go. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I would like that, and I don't know how you want to go about it. There are a couple of different ways to go about it. You could vote on it. You could have.
Tom, it looks like you're on there twice somehow. I would not like to vote on it immediately. I would like there to be more of a discussion about it. Personally, we do have a finance and budget committee that John is chairing. We do have several committees. Personally, I'm initially thinking this is segmenting off of our members to do something else, when I feel we should all be inclusive and all be attending these meetings.
Then I suggest that we not do this at all.
That's not what I said. I gave my opinion.
It is what you said, and I was trying to get away around the discussion we had earlier this year, but I just gave the chapter the opportunity to do that, but thank you.
I wanted to further the discussion, Charlie, not end the discussion. So I know he's no longer with us, but I am going to continue on that conversation because I feel that is something that needs to be discussed. And voting tonight on starting a committee that is going to, I want there to be certain focus, yes, but I feel like we already have multiple committees that cover a lot of this. And instead, segmenting off, I think that's a further conversation than to just vote and establish a committee today. So I will follow up with him and try and get more information. That was not my intention for it to be thrown away and torn up. I would love to hear other people's feedback on that. I mean, again, I felt like that just separated completely a group of our members, and yes, gave them a specialization, but that's where I was hoping to continue the conversation. We see the benefits to that. Or our current committees, if we're all on advisory committees, I want all of us to participate in things. And what I felt like that was describing is the older generation of chefs will be the ones that take on this and will raise money and award money for those that need it. What is our chapter? I thought that's what our chapter was. It is to help those in need, is to bring everyone together, is to do these events. I apologize to you all that ended how it did. I was hoping to further the conversation. Does anybody have thoughts they'd like to share on it?
I think you get a write-up in some way, shape, or form, put it in the newsletter, and let's start the discussion when the next time we're face-to-face. But for now, I think table it and be done with it.
Any other comments?
I think just observing it, I think part of where Charlie was going was, and being a senior chef myself, and pandemic for me this year has been because I haven't been able to do my job. So I've had to learn how to do a lot of other things, and we are a resource. And I think that's where his heart is at, is to make sure that we're still a resource. I don't, and I think the idea has some, you can get it going in the right direction. Maybe it just didn't come out the right way of what his intentions were. I think it needs to be discussed. I agree it needs to be discussed. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it could have some, it could be a good thing.
Oh, it's not a bad idea at all, Tom, but I tend to think that, as the older guys in the group, we tend to steamroll and take things over. And that's really if we want to continue it as a viable organization, we need to get more people involved. And yeah, everybody's working, but we all did that kind of work when we were young and getting this chapter started again. So we can help, but I don't think we should be leading or taking point. I think we should be a resource, as you suggested, and take it from there.
Well, this is the thing, is that way back 95, 96, when this chapter was formed, the roundtable discussion was to break off the old guard and what they evolved to. And so, you look at something what, Charlie is proposing. I do think that anything that comes to the table in knowing this group shouldn't necessarily be an automatic, let's knock it down, and open it up for discussion and have that pathway. The other thing that we have is an Autumn bringing up that we have overlapping committees. My thing is, take a look at your committees and start branching out those committees. So you don't have one person, as in the past, serve on 3 or 4 different committees.
Right.
It needs to be, if you're going to grow, and I'll be honest with you, this is why I stepped out of it. I did my service for the chapter for many years and was heavily involved. And it just became what I saw back in the central chapter days, is a roundtable discussion with 6 people sitting around it that had all the control. And they faded themselves out. And that's how the birth of Harrisburg came about. Because I was that young person at the table looking at Tom Long and Charlie Downs and being introduced to Mike Carrance, saying, I'm the young guy. I don't want that kind of crap. If that's a professional organization, I want to grow. I don't want to sit there and listen to the same old, and seeing that 6 people had ultimate control. And the new guy, well, maybe in 12 years, and at that point, I'm going to be the old guy, so I think, our mission is that we bring things to the table, right and wrong, but we got to at least open it up to get that inclusion, that everybody has that fair shake to listen to what Charlie is proposing.
Yes.
And then have that open debate and discussion. There are good things about it I agree with, and there are some things that I'm sitting here saying, yeah, I don't agree with. But there's got to be a coming together, and this is what we're talking about, right? So if younger members are going to see us shut the door and chop the ropes to the drawbridge here, then what's their outlook going to be? So I think there's a reach out to Charlie to say, hey, wait a minute, let's bring back what you're discussing. We want to have an open discussion about it and bring out the positives and move it forward in the right way, and not go this route.
My intentions were to say, I don't necessarily want to jump right to a vote. I want to do
I agree, and that's what I'm saying is there needs to be, let's not steamroll this, but let's give it time to let everybody think about what was said and see it in the minutes, so we can
maybe
digest it.
some precursor to this is what I'm going to announce in a meeting. Maybe so the board has some idea as to what kind of new committee to be formed. I feel like, again, this was not a decision to be made tonight. That was my intention to stop him, and that I would like to discuss this more. So I don't go for a vote right away.
Right.
So I will
It's
do
all
that.
good.
I will reach out to Charlie. I will ask him I would like to have more information to share with the chapter so that we can start the discussion and bring back to our next meeting. I will make that attempt. I'll let you all know that. I will make an attempt. I can't make any promises to what the reaction is going to be, but my goal was to start the conversation, not all of a sudden cut off the conversation.
Good job. Let's keep going.
That is it. And I'll be honest, I want it to be it. It is 9:40. So may I entertain a motion? Does anyone have anything else? No. Okay. Can I entertain a motion, please?
Good motion.
Chef Autumn. Chef Patty, I had something quick.
Yeah.
Since I'm new to the chapter, who do I reach out to get on the chapter email list?
You know what, if you want to put it in the chat here for us, that would be great. Also,
can do that.
I know if you want to sign up, I think there was a link to sign up there as well. Renee, is that correct?
Chef Patty, I have his email.
Okay.
I have it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I saw a first and a second, so I'm just going to say approved, motion adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you for sticking with me. I felt
You're welcome.
See you next month.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.